What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of Press YYZ. This is your one-stop shop where we bring you all the best video game news and discussion with a uniquely Canadian twist. You can find us on Twitter at Press YYZ, where we appreciate any feedback you may have. I'm your host, Nathan, joined today by Mitch George.
How's everyone's doing? I can't talk today. This is going to be great.
Great start, everybody.
So we've got Mitch, who can't talk today.
That is me.
We've got AJ, who's still somehow employed with us.
Yeah, you're welcome for being here, I guess.
You won last week, Nathan. You approved. It was crazy.
I've got some comments about last week, so we'll get into that after I do the roll call. All right. Alex Ballant, how are you doing today?
I'm so tired. Also, I thought it was Press YYZ.
No, I thought we've had to call it Press YYZ because we're Canadian. There was some controversy over this.
Are we? Do we have to?
Well, let's get into it after we get through who's on the show today.
That's fine.
Hi.
Right.
I'm so tired.
And then we've got Cozy Alexander Kozina. How are you doing?
Get drunk, find a horse.
Excuse me?
All right.
What?
I'm trying to... whatever, it's fine.
No, you have to elaborate
You
on
have
that.
to explain that, please.
I mean, there really isn't much of an explanation. I was trying to think of something clever and witty to say that would catch you all off guard, and I didn't want to talk about how tired I am because I feel like that's the average go-to when you start up one of these podcasts. And I was reminded of my old friends at the Comedy Button who coined the term get drunk, find a gun. But I figured that saying that this early on in this podcast's life would be a little bit too, just a little bit much. So I figured I'd soften the blow by instead talking about finding a horse.
Well, I don't know if that feels better. I'm just going to put that...
You can't soften a blow with bestiality. You went from an extreme of I'm tired to
I never said
let's have sex.
bestiality. I said just find a horse.
It's implied. We all implied that.
Right?
It's not just me.
It literally never crossed through my mind as I was saying that
All right.
phrase.
No problems. Well, I hope everybody can feel a little energized after this great opening that we've had. So I do want to catch up some old news. So last week I was off because I had to attend a summit for work, and they ranked the top Pokemon. And I'm disappointed that I was unavailable for the episode because Agumon deserved to be on that list.
There's a reason we did it when you weren't here, because I knew that crap was coming.
You can I ask you a question, Nathan? Can you name another Digimon?
Gabuterimon, Lilymon, Rosemon.
Okay. All right.
Can you name one
fair.
5th generation Pokemon?
Oh.
Oh my god, I don't even think I could do that.
No, the one that's in Smash with the Greninja.
That's a 6th generation Pokemon.
Damn it, I'm so close.
Boom.
Then no.
That's why you weren't on the Pokemon.
I mean, I'll give you credit that you know more Digimon than just Agumon. But see, like if you had come on the podcast and you said, "Oh, Gabuterimon," I would have been like, you know what, I'll accept that because it's not Agumon.
But you weren't the host, and I would not have accepted that. But no, last week was fun. But I know since last week we've talked a bit about Press YYZ versus Press YYZ being Canadian. Where are we settling here? We've had a lot of controversy coming our way about what we've been calling the show. So what's everyone's thoughts?
Honestly,
has it been a lot of controversy?
It's hundreds of people, hundreds of our listeners.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All thousands of them.
I mean, to be honest, like, I'm kind of indifferent, but I quite like the ring of Press YYZ. I don't feel like we need to change it.
I think we found the American Spy.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind where YYZ kind of rolls off the tongue, and YYZ, while being more phonetically correct in Canada, it just doesn't have the same oomph to it.
Okay, next time somebody flies, because as we know, we took the YYZ from the Toronto International Airport at Pearson.
I also hope none of us are flying anytime soon.
But next time somebody does, I'm just curious what an employee would say the accurate name is at the airport. So
it's an international airport code, so it would probably depend on who
is saying it.
Yeah,
Is it so? They say Z in the UK as well, right?
Correct. That's where we get our phonetics from for that.
Yeah. And
things like favorite color.
Yeah.
Favorite color.
Yeah.
Those are the only two that are coming to mind for some reason. What's everyone's favorite color?
Probably green.
So we'll take this offline and we'll figure it out. But I thought it was something that should be discussed as our listeners were demanding for it. So, anyways, for now, I think we'll keep with YYZ for the points of reference that were made here.
Now, is everyone here a fan of Rush?
Yes.
Yeah, they're a good band.
Gotta go
Good guys.
fast. Oh wait, that's Sonic.
That's Sonic,
Sorry.
because it's also borrowed from a title of a Rush song, which I quite enjoy. But
All right.
But how did they pronounce it?
I need to do my research on that. I don't want to interpret what they or be presumptuous about how they would say it. All three band members are from right here in Toronto. Actually, there's a park like 3 blocks from my house that is named after Geddy Rush and Leif Erikson. So, yeah, they're a local treasure, and thankfully they got some international acclaim. And then we stole the name of one of their most famous songs for the title of this podcast.
Well,
so,
Okay, not to milk this too far, but I just googled how does Rush pronounce YY blank.
letter.
Yep, and they pronounce it YYZ.
Shit.
I mean, we don't have to just follow them because they pronounce it that way.
Yeah, and we're more famous than them now, so we can
It's-
choose how it's said.
That's fair.
You can joke, but that's not even close, and you know it.
What? You're telling me Rush has more than 20 people listening?
Hey, it's more than 20 people, okay? When I was saying numbers last week, it was sort of, a punch in the gut for us. But, for something that's only been going for a couple of months, we've got some listeners.
We're making some gains.
Oh, wow.
We're soon going to be in the hundreds. So
If you're not making moves, you're standing still.
it's true.
Gary
Quote one Gary Whitta.
So
To close out this segment, if you're listening to this and you have hard feelings about this, obviously contact us and let us know. I personally
keep it to
stand
yourself.
keep it to yourself. I mean, I personally stand by that. Like, while I understand the logic in calling ourselves Press YYZ to keep in with the Canadian theme, ultimately we need to go with what sounds best, what rolls off the tongue better, and I think Press YYZ is a keeper, but we're not going to decide here and now if that's definitively what we're going to do.
nope.
Well, YZ.
Okay.
Let's just move on.
8.5 minutes into the podcast. AJ, what are you playing?
Well, I'm old now, first and foremost.
Oh,
Happy belated birthday, my friend.
Thank you very much. I turned 30
Ooh. What do you do for your
on,
30th
you-
birthday?
on Saturday.
You are
I went to a little restaurant / bar location in Toronto called Stormcrow Manor. It was a lot of fun. Rented out a very, very expensive room, as I found out. And Mitch, you did not buy enough food to help reach the minimum spend, so
I bought as much as I could justify. I'm sorry. It was also a
Okay.
last-minute invite, and I had
Yeah,
to
that's
drive,
true.
so I couldn't drink. And the
That's-
non-alcoholic beverages were not as expensive, even though they were equally as fun.
okay, yeah, the butterbeer. You had
the,
that, right?
The non-alcoholic butterbeer was very good, and then I had something else that was themed after Star Trek. I think it was a Klingon something or other, and it was very good. It wasn't as sweet as the butterbeer, which was nice.
I hate when I have a clean on.
Yeah, everyone does.
Anyway, so for my birthday, I also got a SNES Classic.
Nice.
I actually never owned an original SNES, Super Nintendo, SNES. How do we pronounce that?
That's
Let's
another
debate
point
that
of
here.
controversy. How does everyone pronounce the Super Nintendo Entertainment System?
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
The acronym, is it SNES or SNES? Let's say you hosts.
I think I go back and forth.
Me, it's mostly just SNES.
I'm with you, Cozy.
Yeah, I would
I'm
agree with
SNES all the way.
Can
Yeah.
Can I show you something special that I have?
Oh, that's a pretty boy.
Wow.
When I was in Taiwan, I guess it's 2 years ago now, I bought a Super Famicom Classic while I was there.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
So
Does it have the same? It has the same games on it, right?
no, it's a
It's
slightly,
slightly
different,
different.
lineup.
Slightly different?
And they're all in Japanese.
Yes.
So that's fun. I've modded it to be English.
As you kind of need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Plus, it also made all the buttons work the way I'm used to making them work instead of the other opposite Japanese way.
Yeah, the backwards
See,
ass way.
the color scheme is nice on the Super Famicom, but I grew up with that gross purple and gray SNES. So for me, I couldn't have anything other than the North American variant.
Well,
The
and
purple is nice, but the gray not so much.
I hadn't bought one, and then when I was in Taiwan, I saw it, and I was like, it's $2,780. So I was like, I should buy this. I don't think I saved any money.
I was going to say, what does that convert to Canadian?
I don't know. Honestly, it was more than $100, but
So I've got the list of games up right now. Earthbound is not on the Japanese one. Kirby's Dream Course is not on the Japanese one. Neither are Street Fighter, Super Castlevania 4, and Super Punch-Out.
yeah, this is
Instead they have Super Street Fighter 2, Super Soccer, Panel de Pawn, The Legend of the Mystical
yeah.
Ninja, and Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem.
You know what the biggest tragedy with the SNES Classic was?
What?
The lack of Chrono Trigger, which I fixed.
By legal means, I hope.
Yes.
Obviously.
I mean, you wouldn't emulate a game which you do not own a physical copy of, correct?
Well, I owned a copy of Chrono Trigger at the time when I did it.
I just don't want to be complacent to your crimes. That's all.
All right, that's fair. What else have you been playing, AJ?
Mitch and I actually played a game yesterday. It came out yesterday for free.
This was going to be our big news story this week.
Well, nothing else has happened.
Then
No,
the world
nothing.
caught fire. COD Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone. It's the newest battle royale free entry that makes you download the entirety of Modern Warfare, the new Modern Warfare. If you haven't played it before, regardless, I don't know why that happens. That was obnoxious.
I know why.
100 gigabytes. Because they want you to buy it.
Because they want you to buy the game. There's a
I
button
know.
in the game to buy the full game.
I am
They
only
want you to buy the
slightly
full
more
game.
tempted now.
You better
slightly.
not. Just play the free Warzone mode with me, and we will have fun and maybe eventually win.
Yeah, maybe. I got to 15th today.
Ooh.
That's my record so far in that.
I think we had 18th or something yesterday.
Yeah, something
Like that.
Yeah, it's 18 to 20, somewhere around there.
I
But
played a little bit, and I got to like 25. That was my
Okay.
best.
Yeah, I'm
I think that's
averaging
where I
around
was.
there.
What's nice about COD Warzone specifically, though, is since I think it was this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty or Activision has made the game crossplay.
Yeah.
So AJ downloaded it on the Xbox, I downloaded it on the PS4, and we had zero issues playing with one another, other than some of the social bits.
Yeah, but the social bits are done through Activision's proprietary connection. But we jumped into a game and we could vocally speak to each other in the game. I was on an Xbox, and you were on a PS4.
Yeah, and we ended up in squads with randoms who were on both. I mean, from what I could see, if they were on PlayStation, it showed the PlayStation icon.
Yeah.
If they weren't, it just showed a screen, so it could have been Xbox or it could have been PC.
Mm-hmm.
They were using a controller, though, so my guess would have been Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had fun jumping into that with you last night, and I look forward to putting some more time into it now that, I mean, I'm still addicted to the Division 2 and the Warlords of New York expansion, so I'm probably still going to stick with that for a while, but
Yeah.
Warzone has the potential to pull me away from that when it comes to twitchy, shootery stuff.
Do you guys have other experience with battle royales
Yeah.
that have come out, like PUBG and Fortnite and stuff?
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
ask, how does it compare to other battle royales?
Man, it's
So,
Go ahead.
you want to?
No. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, you go ahead, Cozy, then we can...
If you watch my streams, you know that I'm quite fond of Apex Legends. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Call of Duty Warzone is somehow even faster and even more, how should I say, like, in some ways...
frenetic, twitchy.
Yeah. Athletic than Apex Legends. And like what it lacks, I'd say, in character, in getting to hear all of the various personas that you inhabit in Apex Legends interact with each other, it makes up for in that Call of Duty level of polish that you've come to expect from the series, and also from a bunch of neat little stuff like For example, being able to get into cars, for example, and be able to drive around.
Helicopters too.
Yeah, the gulag mechanic, where when you die, you get to go into a one-on-one confrontation with another player, and if you win, you get automatically respawned back into the battlefield for free. Being able to purchase new items from chests, including like turrets, or the ability to just buy back one of your down comrades. There's a lot that really kind of sets it apart, and I know when this was announced, you guys were saying that, oh, this is like an Apex Legends killer, and like undeniably this is going to go on to be more successful than Apex Legends, but I feel like it is just substantially different enough that I can totally see a universe in which the two coexist at the same time.
I can agree with you there, but I feel like we're going to end up at a point where the casual audience that was very much into Fortnite, that didn't necessarily migrate to Apex when that released, is going to go bonkers for Call of Duty Warzone, just because it is so, I mean, it's free to play for one, which matches the other battle royale models other than PUBG, which RIP PUBG after the Call of Duty release. I mean, I don't see that, being as substantial a player in the market with Call of Duty now doing their own free-to-play battle royale. But I can see a larger audience forming for Call of Duty because it is approachable. It's arguably the largest entertainment IP of all time, just based on sale numbers.
Just numbers, yeah.
So there isn't a universe where I don't see this being wildly successful, and I really like what they've done here in that Call of Duty Warzone, it may be bundled with Modern Warfare for this year's release, but as long as they make that its own standalone platform, like its own software platform, and let's say next year is a Black Ops game, or 2020 is a Black Ops game, they just do Call of Duty Warzone Black Ops whatever, or Call of Duty Warzone Infinite Black Ops, or whatever they're going to call it. Ooh. Right? Just add the seasonal content to the game, as opposed to having to make it a fully new fleshed out game every year, and that's going to be printing money for decades, I would imagine.
Number one, I would like an Infinite Warfare space battle royale, because that sounds super fun. I'm just going to say that. Number two, I've got no experience with the battle royales. Fortnite didn't hook me because I hated the building. I just never got into Apex. Apex, my biggest issue, I don't know, it just wasn't the gameplay that was catching me, but I love the characters. I love all the vignettes and everything they've done, and I think that's where Warzone's going to be missing, because it's very generic and very Call of Duty in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it did. I'm assuming nobody here gave that Battlefield battle royale that came out like last year or something a shot.
No. Not 1 minute.
Wait, was it the Reign of Fire?
Firestorm,
yeah, something like that. Yeah. It looked cool, but I didn't. It just missed me, and I actually prefer the Battlefield style gameplay to Call of Duty, but I don't know why this one. Maybe it's just the right time for this one, for me personally. But there's something about it that's kind of grabbing me. I still don't think I'm going to buy Call of Duty yet. But
I think for me it is like Fortnite and Apex never hooked me. Fortnite, again, it was the building, and Apex for me, it was, I jumped in when it first released, but I felt like immediately, one, there wasn't enough content, and two, they were already putting content behind paywalls, understanding it is a free-to-play game, so whatever. But with each character having its own unique attributes and skills, I felt like I wouldn't progress unless I could in some way unlock those characters, whether it be through grinding out premium currency or spending the money to unlock those characters. With Call of Duty, there isn't that model. The free-to-playness of it looks to, at least for me at this point, be mostly cosmetic. It isn't impacting the gameplay in any way, which I really appreciate. So everyone can come in with that. I mean, given you will still progress, you'll create your loadouts and all that stuff. And what's really something really nice about Warzone is you can do a loadout deployment where you can drop loadouts onto the field. Everyone can see them, but if you get to it, you can immediately spawn one of your custom loadouts. So if there's a gun you really like, you can make sure that if that drops, you get to it, you get your gun. But I don't know. It's like I used to play the Call of Duty games every year. It's been a couple of years since I've played one, but it's just the shooting is the best first-person shooting experience that I feel like I ever have. I know we've talked a few times on this show about Doom 2016 and how kinetic and frenetic that felt, but I never connected with Doom 2016 the way that I connected to the Call of Duty games, and it's probably just from playing them since, I think the first one I played was Call of Duty 3 on the 360 at a friend's house, but I really got into it with Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4. And since then, with a couple of lapses, I've played almost every campaign and multiplayer. So I'm really looking forward to playing some more Warzone.
That sounds.
Oh,
go ahead,
I was just, I mean, not as the resident Doom lover. I will also say you did play Doom on the Switch, which is 30 frames per second, where Call of Duty has always been a consistent 60. So that might have been part of the reason why you didn't have that connection with it. But I'm not here to just defend Doom. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, you really like that game, and I appreciate what it did. I really enjoyed it. It just, for me, it was I really like the idea of get to a point, aim down sights, target, and Doom was much more in motion than Call of Duty. I like that style of shooter. I'm not necessarily attached to the style of shooter that Doom was, so that's just for me a personal preference.
That's
but
completely fair, yeah.
It had nothing to do with the Switch.
The next thing that I want to see from a battle royale, like people get obsessed with player count, because Apex has 60 still, I believe. 60 player
Cozy,
counts.
can you confirm that? You're our resident Apex guy.
Apex, yes, that's correct.
Yeah. PUBG has 100.
Fortnite's 100.
Yeah.
Fortnite's 100. I'm not sure about the Battlefield one or anything like that, but
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the conversation at this point. I
Tetris
feel.
99 has 99.
Yeah, yep.
The best battle royale I've played up to this point.
Yep, that's fair.
Do you guys remember the Just Cause multiplayer mod thing that came out? Like 2,000 players, 2,000 or 3,000 players.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Like people, Call of Duty Warzone has 150, I believe,
correct.
players. And that just feels like we're just doing it to be more. Whereas if a battle royale could commit to that Just Cause multiplayer, like 2,000 or 3,000 people per match, I think then there would be like something super special. But
that'll finally get
that
over.
won't happen until next gen, or maybe even the
so
gen
here
after.
so hear me out. PS5, Sony exclusive out of Guerrilla Games. Mag 2.
Oh man.
2,000 player battle royale.
2048. Mag 2048.
Ooh.
I mean,
Set it in the future.
like
2048 players.
I mean,
Go ahead, Cozy.
Obviously, I'd be excited to see what one of Sony's first-party studios do with a kind of battle royale concept. But is it necessary to revive the MAG name? You know, MAG enjoyed a pretty lively and devoted fan base while it was still around. But I feel like most people when they think about MAG, they think about a cool idea that ultimately failed to really kind of capture the masses. And I feel like they would rather take one of their existing more successful properties and try and figure out how to battle royaleify that instead.
I figured it out. We talked a few weeks ago about what we would do to revive the Resistance franchise. Resistance 2048, where it takes place in an alternate future with its own 2,000 player battle royale.
Considering how cool and zany some of the guns are in the Resistance series, I feel like that has potential to be really cool. I also feel like that would piss off a lot of Resistance fans that are waiting for a more traditional experience. But
well, it
cool
would
idea.
it would need to
Cool
be
idea.
years, and it need to be years in the making. It still has to have a solid single player, but the focus would be the multiplayer. Think of it like Battlefield 1 or Battlefield that had its battle royale mode. It is a cool battle royale, but it also has a very tight story-driven experience associated with it.
I don't know how you do it, but a Ratchet and Clank battle royale.
Oh my god, I would kill for that. Even if it's just 16 people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like just like 32 or 16
isn't that just
people.
a multiplayer mode?
Well, that was it was Ratchet Deadlocked, I want to
Deadlocked.
say.
Yeah.
God, I love the arena shooter style of that. Give me a Ratchet and Clank arena shooter, and I would put hundreds of hours into it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Microsoft is behind, and they are way overdue for the Halo battle royale of our dreams.
The rumors are that Halo Infinite will have a battle royale, and that's part of the reason why they haven't revealed it yet.
Well,
what? Yeah.
But when are they going to reveal it? That's okay. We got to move on. We've only been talking about what AJ's been playing.
So in all fairness, we've crossed COD off everybody's list. So
Yes.
I think we're good for COD at this point.
Can I just say one more thing?
Go ahead, Cozy.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say, at the end of the day, whatever Battle Royale this game does or does not kill, I appreciate this game's presence on the market because I know that based on its presence, the other Battle Royales are going to need to adapt and they're going to need to make measures to make themselves more appealing. And, for a while now, a lot of people have talked about, hey, Apex Legends takes place in the Titanfall universe. Wouldn't it be cool if you could play as Titans? And pretty definitively, I don't think that we're going to see Titans in this iteration of the Call of Duty series, but we could see them very well pop up in Apex now that the pressure is on them to perform and not lose their title as one of the more higher performing battle royales. So
yeah, competition does breed innovation, so you have to hope. We're seeing that now. I know it's kind of tangential to this, and we're not going to talk about it in the news, but the NFL is come to an agreement with 2K to develop a new football game starting next year. So now Madden is going to have competition in the market. Yeah. So 2K is going to start making football games again, and that's going to hopefully make both games better.
The rising tide raises all ships, so to speak.
Oh, I hope WWE does something similar to that.
Well, with Ukes no longer developing the 2K games, you got to hope they go out and do something that just blows people's brains.
Okay, so we've talked about COD a lot in Battle Royales. So we're going to move on to Ballant. What have you been doing?
So there's a couple of things. For one, just a continuation of last week. I finished Katana Zero, and man, that game is... Yeah, it's so much fun. It's such an interesting, because with the side scroller, the story elements and the fact that the choosing your own dialogue and I'm pretty sure from what I could tell that there are multiple endings, and just the whole aesthetic of it. I had a really great time playing it, and it was a lot of fun. Soundtrack's amazing.
I picked it up when it first came out on Switch. Unfortunately, I would have rather get a PS4 version, but at the time I wasn't sure if it was going to come to PS4. But it's a fantastic game. I loved my time with it.
I really got to get to that on the Switch. It's been sitting in my wish list forever, and I'm just waiting for the right sale to bite the bullet on it.
Yeah, it was 100% worth playing. It's so frenetic. It makes you just feel like an ultra badass when you pull off your route right and you just do it all correctly. It feels so satisfying every time.
So I know before you got into Katana Zero, you were starting to play through the Drinkbox games. Is this now a chance to go and pick up the next one? What's your next game going to be?
My next game is actually going to be After Party, which is it's... I can't remember what the studio is called, but Oxenfree. It's by the same developer as Oxenfree. It's... From what I can tell, the whole idea is you and your best friend have died, and you go to hell, and you have to outdrink the devil.
Jesus!
That's the whole plot synopsis, and with that, I'm really excited. And
so
it's an adventure game basically.
It's Night School Studios developing that.
I was just looking that up too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then I had a video autoplay on me from their website, and it scared me.
Yeah, so that's my next Switch game until Animal Crossing comes out.
I want to try that After Party because it just looks fun. It looks like a good time.
For sure.
It looks immensely charming, and I really can't wait to play it. And hopefully by next week I'll be able to report back. And I'm trying to find time to play it through in one sitting because I know it's a relatively short game.
I mean, you're gonna have to finish it with Doom and Animal Crossing both releasing next week, right?
Yeah, that's the whole plan.
That's the motivator, right? You're not gonna pick anything up after that.
Yeah, as soon as I'm done that, it's everything else on my wish list on my backlog is just gonna take a break until at least finishing Doom, because I have a feeling Animal Crossing will be a constant, persistent game that I'm just gonna be constantly playing. That then I'll be able to play other things in between it, but I have a feeling that once I start Animal Crossing, it's not really gonna stop for a while.
Who's getting Animal Crossing, just to confirm?
I'm picking it up because my sister is addicted to those games, and it'll give me something to play with her. It's the whole reason she bought a Switch, was to play Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I get it for my wife and my kids, and I'm gonna give it a solid try to see if I can get into it.
So we're just gonna hang out on each other's islands all day and just have a blast. Right?
Hell yeah.
But you're not getting
can't
shovel
wait to turn-
privileges.
Oh, never.
Oh.
God, no.
Oh, you guys know I was gonna turn your islands into hellscapes.
Okay, anything else going on?
So two very quick things. For one, this isn't. It's kind of gaming related. I started watching on Apple TV Plus the Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet, which was revealed at the Ubisoft press conference at E3 last year.
I really want to watch that.
It's okay.
Oh,
The
no.
stuff.
Never mind.
Here's the thing: is because it's done by Rob. I can't remember his last name from Always Sunny.
Yeah.
And like he's like the front runner of it. He's the main actor in it. And like Charlie Day has written. I think he wrote like almost every episode. And so all of the stuff that's like Always Sunny that like has that feel is really funny. And I genuinely have laughed like out loud laughed at it quite a few times.
So it's Rob McElhaney,
Yes, that's his name.
which you should have been able to figure out because we have Nathan McInerney. They're close, right?
I knew it was something like that, but I didn't.
McInerney, sorry.
Oh, good.
I knew it was something like that, but I didn't want to say it and just completely butcher it, like I was going to, because I don't have it up in front of me. And
I pulled it up because I was going to say McInerney, and that's wrong.
yeah.
Yep.
But Mike, I haven't finished it yet. I'm going to, just because since I have Apple TV Plus, I might as well actually use that service. But it's like it's very okay, but it is still kind of like dealing with a lot of like the let's have gamer culture be cool, and it's like just inherently cringy. Which kind of sucks because this is like I feel like this is the closest thing you're gonna get to it not being, and it still kind of inherently is.
So
But- Yeah, go ahead.
my wife is on a rewatch of The Big Bang Theory right now.
It's not as bad as that.
She's on season 8 right now, and I want to shoot myself while she's watching it.
It is like a million times better than that, but it still has that kind of inherent because I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a character that's supposed to be like the big time streamer, and he's like 12 because I guess that's funny, and he's just every
That's
time
not funny.
that character every time he shows up, it's just like it just sucks because it's like a lot of because it's about a development studio for an MMO,
Yeah.
and they're like constant and they have to like deal with problems, and there's some like kind of relevant problems to or like relevant things to like what's happening in the games industry now, and a lot of that stuff is actually kind of funny, and like I think some of it is pretty well written, but then some of the other stuff just kind of it's just not great. It's also really weird because like the game that they're supposed to be developing, they use footage from Ubisoft games. Like they use a lot of For Honor footage and a lot of Assassin's Creed footage, and it's just inherently jarring because I can recognize those things. And it's also really weird when they show it compared to like the kind of shitty 3D models that they have for like for things that are not in a Ubisoft game that they can't just use that footage for, and it's just like super jarring in comparison because the graphics are just not as good.
Yeah, it sounds like it's almost a bit of like advertising for their own products with how closely they worked with Ubisoft on this project, which is kind of disappointing to hear. I am glad though that they touched on some of the more interesting points of game dev, and I do want to check it out for that reason.
I would definitely say it's worth watching, especially if you already have Apple TV Plus, and because there's kind of nothing on that service that's worth watching.
I watched about half an episode of C, and that's about all I've consumed from Apple TV Plus since my future sister-in-law bought a new iPhone and we got it for free.
Yeah.
How
I
about
got
the
it
morning
on my
show?
laptop.
Anybody watch the morning show?
My sister raved about it. I need to get to it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And
I was just going to
go
say earlier, the issue that you were describing where you're watching the game that they're developing and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's footage from Ubisoft games I'm already familiar with. That kind of reminds me of, you guys are familiar with the movie The Wizard?
Yes.
Yeah,
With Fred
80s
Savage.
movie.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. So there's this scene, somewhat infamous, kind of midway through the movie, where he basically starts playing Double Dragon, and he like mashes a bunch of buttons, and then he walks away from it disinterested, and then his brother comes over to it, and he's like, "Oh my God, you got like 50,000 in Double Dragon." But everybody who had played Double Dragon, who was watching the footage, was like, wait a minute, he's just playing the like intro to the game where it's like a cutscene that you don't actually have any control over. But they played it off to make it seem like he was in control of that segment, and he got an incredible score.
I mean, that's just filmmaking, right? Like, every time I see a cell phone that isn't actually placing a call, when they put it up to their face and it's like the lock screen, that stuff really, really bugs me when I see that. And I'm not even a film student, so I can't even imagine how jarring that is for you, Alex.
Oh yeah. Speaking of being a film student, that's the other thing that I've been doing this whole week.
I am the master of segues.
And the reason why I am immensely tired is because the last 2 weeks I was helping my partner shoot her student short film for the year, and it's been a whole lot of fun, but very long hours, a lot of heavy equipment, so my partner is also my girlfriend. Because so it was kind of incredible because this was her short film. I'm shooting mine actually tomorrow. From when we're recording this, for the next 2 days, I'm gonna be. I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm nervous, but I'm also very excited about it. But just watching her work with her actors and like just setting up shots and figuring out lighting, it was kind of amazing. She's not going to listen to any of this, even if I tell her to. But I'm so incredibly proud of her. She did such an amazing job working.
Well, now she has to listen to this so that she hears you gush about how great her work is.
It was incredible to watch, and I'm so proud of her.
So when do I get to be in a movie?
Oh man, I mean, you know what? I'll send you auditions for my next thing, and you know what?
You might get it, you might not.
Yeah.
Mr. HR, is that not a conflict of interest in some way if he puts you in his film?
No, I mean, I'm not making any money. That's fine.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, neither are we, so that's fine.
In all fairness, as the HR person, I get to decide whether there's a conflict of interest or not, and I'm going to say no.
That's true.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Alex. Cozy, we're going to jump into you. I know you've had some heartbreaking news this week.
I'm not gonna go super in depth, but basically I was planning on attending a Pokemon Go event in St. Louis, Missouri, towards the end of the month. This event, for those of you who are in the know, is called a Pokemon Go Safari Zone, and basically what it is you're kind of allowed to enter into a sort of secluded area, usually like a park or some sort of recreational area of some sort, and for a brief period of time, usually from like 10 or 12 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon, you get to capture a wide variety of Pokemon, some exotic that are not usually easily available in that area. And basically the event was happening, and then it wasn't happening because of the coronavirus.
I mean, let's be correct. Like, coronavirus is a type of virus. Specifically, this is COVID-19, which is the 2019 variant of the virus.
Yeah,
I learned that today.
Yeah, I'm in agreement that we need to specify exactly what kind of coronavirus we're talking about.
Someone could be listening to this 3 years from now. It's like, why not coronavirus 2022? Like, you never know.
We need to be careful about coronavirus 2022. That's the one. Oh, if you get that one, unspeakable things happen.
Well, I mean, this is like, I know we're kind of tangenting a bit, but it's like this virus is of the same strain as SARS, right? SARS was also a coronavirus, just of that year. Yeah. So I don't know. The world's messed up, and this sucks.
So, why did they call it a coronavirus?
Because it started with them drinking Corona beers.
We don't want legal coming after us.
It's the appearance of the virus. It has these little speck things on it that look like crowns.
Okay, corona. Got it.
Well, corona is like what, Latin or Greek, or like it derives from the same word as crown or something like that.
So that's interesting.
Today I learned.
So anyway, so that was unfortunate. I was able to get a refund on the hotel that I was gonna spend my time there.
I mean, that's good.
But things are still unresolved with regards to the plane tickets, but I'm not going to go into detail there.
That's
not really video game related, but I also saw the new My Hero Academia movie.
Oh, nice. What'd you think?
It was a fun time. I did have some mixed opinions on the ending of it. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but basically they introduce an incredible twist that they end up kind of largely retconning out of it by the end of it. And, this has been discussed on some other avenues, some other podcasts here and there, how, like, this is a very typical thing of most other anime movies. They introduce some really cool conceit or villain or something or other that by the end of the show they have to just retcon or ignore or do something or other so that it won't interrupt the normal events of the show. And so I should have expected that here, but I was still kind of heartbroken because, like, by and large, so much of why I've enjoyed My Hero Academia is because, while in some ways it is, tropey and in line with other shonen anime, it is also subversive and is actually bent and twisted a lot of tropes in some really kind of clever ways. And so I thought of all the anime movies that could have done it, this could have been the anime movie to finally be like, hey, what happens in this movie is like canon and it's going to have like major and incredible repercussions on the rest of the show, but we didn't fully go through with it. But it is still a fun time and features some gorgeous animation, and if you enjoy My Hero Academia, I would recommend that you go and check it out.
So can I ask you a question? I hear a lot about My Hero Academia. My experience in anime up to this point has been Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon. Do we count Digimon as anime?
Digimon is
Yeah, of
anime.
course.
Pokemon's
Okay.
anime.
Yeah, of
Fooly
course.
So
Cooley.
I've watched all 3
Yeah.
seasons of
Yu Yu
Seinfeld.
Hashiro,
So
Inuyasha.
okay, so now we're saying stuff I don't know. So let's keep that going.
Oh,
So
Konosuba.
is this something that a non-anime fan can get into? Like, what's the Cole's Notes version of My Hero Academia? Why should I watch it?
It is a superhero anime about a world where 80% of the world's population have superpowers, a la like mutants in the X-Men universe. And the protagonist of the series is somebody who is born without superpowers. And he has a chance encounter with that world's equivalent of Superman, basically this all-powerful hero that has very few things that threaten him or slow him down. And one thing leads to another, and the Superman-like hero becomes convinced to pass on his powers to this young person, believing that he has the kind of heart and willpower to use them for good in the next generation of heroes that's being cultivated.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
That
I'm
was,
not
that
much
was
of
a
an
very good pitch.
Yeah, I'm not much of an anime guy, but everything I hear about My Hero has me wanting to watch it. Cozy, how do you consume that in Canada? Because I've been trying to figure out how to watch it.
Crunchyroll?
Yeah, I use Crunchyroll.
How much is that in Canada? Because I can't really justify
You can do it
another
with free
streaming service.
with ads, I think.
Can you?
At least I had it for a
Yeah.
little
Oh.
bit, and I watched it free with ads.
I may check that out then, because
I'm,
I'd be fine watching ads.
I use Crunchyroll a lot, so I pay for it. But I used to use it with ads, and it was fine with ads.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dubbed or subbed?
I use subbed, but it's not like a thing where I feel particularly hard about one way or the other. I'll go with whatever is most convenient to me, and sometimes it's dubbed and sometimes it's subbed.
Fair.
I can switch either way. Not that I've watched a lot of anime, but I did try to watch that new Sailor Moon series they did a while back. So Crystal. And I think I watched the dub version of that one.
I go back and forth on sub versus dubbed, because like it depends on the English voices.
Yeah.
If the English voices are good, like they are for me, they're good in Dragon Ball and they're good in Fooly Cooley. Otherwise, I don't really partake in anime
All right.
because I have to read it and I'd rather watch it.
One thing I will say, sorry, I realize that we've been talking about this for a while now, but as you know, I've been practicing Japanese a little bit over the past few months, and
Yes.
I actually find that watching subbed anime has helped my Japanese learning ever so slightly, in that I'll be watching a episode of sub Pokemon and I'll be like, oh, I recognize that word. I recognize that word too. I'm matching it up with the subtitles. So there's actually a linguistic learning advantage to me watching it subbed at the moment.
Nice.
I mean, I used to do that with French content in Canada, and I feel like it helped me that way. I feel like going into it knowing zero Japanese, I usually do dubbed, but if it's something I'm going into net new, I could definitely mess with it being subbed at least for a bit, and then maybe transition back.
Mitch, let's watch one episode this week and see how we do.
I'm down. Let's do
Okay.
it. Subbed though, right?
Sub, sure. Yeah, that's fine. We'll
right, cool.
both download Crunchyroll and see if we can watch the first episode and then give our thoughts next
You
week.
got it.
All right, Mitch, I'm going to jump to you now. What have you got going on?
I've talked a lot, so I'll just like, it's been Warzone. It's been way more of the Division 2 than I ever expected to play. Got through the main story portion of the DLC. The first season of the DLC dropped, and I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. My party is playing tonight, and I'm not, and I'm missing out, and it sucks. So
Sorry.
I'm probably gonna they listen to this, and you know what? Screw you guys. I'd rather do this and then play with you at some point when I have free time. I am a busy person.
Okay.
And I hope that didn't just drive 2 viewers away, but whatever. The other thing that I did this week is I actually, and Alex is going to love me for this, I watched Peanut Butter Falcon.
Ooh, nice. What'd you think?
Which is a film starring Shia LaBeouf, where he befriends a man with Down syndrome who has dream aspirations of being a professional wrestler. And they sort of go on this journey to get him to this wrestling school to meet his hero. And it's oh my God. Like, it was a really, really good movie.
Why haven't I watched this?
It's on Crave,
Oh.
which is where I watched it, which is nice.
Nobody told me it had wrestling in it. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, he has aspirations of being a professional wrestler. It's a great story starring Shia LaBeouf and Dakota Johnson, I think is her name.
Yes.
I do not remember the name of the actor with Down syndrome.
She was in the ones
but-
with 50 Shades of Grey, right? She was in the 50. Yeah.
Correct. She's way better in this, I promise you.
Yeah, she actually gets to do something and have a character.
Thomas is it Thomas Hayden Church, I believe is his
Yes.
name. He's also in it. He does a great job. And it's just this really nice story of these two unlikely friends becoming really close and going on this journey together, and it was fabulous. I recommend anyone who has any, like, Shia LaBeouf does some weird stuff. This is some of his weird stuff that's really, really good. So anyone who can, check out Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah, he really had a resurgence last year with that and Honey Boy.
Oh, yes, yes.
I never saw Honey Boy, but Peanut Butter Falcon, highly recommend. And other than that, work, wedding planning, life. Probably not going to honeymoon in Italy anymore. That c'est la vie. That's been my week. It's been nuts.
That's fair. All right, and on to me. And some person from middle school has changed my name to Macaroni on the run of show here, so I just like to point that out there.
I promise you, it wasn't me. I was too busy talking.
It's fine.
1, 2, 3, not it.
Regardless, I actually didn't play much video games last week. I was at a work summit, which is why I missed the show last week. We were there all week, so not a lot to do. However, upon the day arriving home, I got a review code for a game I can't talk about on PSVR yet.
Wink 3 times if it's Iron Man VR.
It's not.
If it is, I'm driving to your
So
house.
my guess is I will have that before it comes out, though.
He definitely winked 3 times, guys.
I am coming to your
So
house.
the best, I will give a very abstract hint that it's
Don't even
All
worry
right.
about it. I think you can
Don't
give
get,
your
yeah,
impressions
don't get
when
yourself
you can.
in trouble
all right.
with a different HR.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, Nathan, is we talked about this when we were playing it last week, and I know you were anxious to get home and play it yourself. Alex and I both talked about it on last week's show. What did you think of the demo for Final Fantasy VII Remake?
So I liked it. I played on classic mode because that's how I thought I wanted to play it, and I need to go through and play it on the normal mode.
Yes,
What
you
is
do.
it like on classic mode? I don't actually know.
I want to play it on classic mode before the game comes out.
Is that the turn-based?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the semi-turn
Oh,
based.
interesting.
It's still action, but I think it pauses when you do the actions. I need to play the regular mode so I can see how it varies. But I really enjoyed it. It was good. I liked the character development. It echoed what I remembered playing, and I played Final Fantasy VII, the remaster, at least the first few hours. With that scene, I want to say 2 years ago when they dropped it on the PSN for the PlayStation 4. So it's really like a neat updated version of it. I'm curious to play more, and I'm actually really hyped for it now. So put me on the hype train.
We're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot to say when that game drops for sure. Between you, me, and Alex. I don't
Yeah.
know if AJ and Cozy, if you're thinking of picking it up as well.
I definitely want to give it a shot. It'll just be a matter of figuring how it's going to fit into my schedule.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm kind
So-
of in the same boat because I never played the original, and so it's just like it's been one of those things that have been one of my gaming shames, I guess. That I know all the spoilers, I just don't know what it's like to actually play
I mean,
it, and I just could not get into the original.
AJ, I'm totally in the same boat. I did not play the original at all. Jumping into the I figured I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts enough from the action RPG perspective, and jumping into the demo, I'm totally sold on it now. So if you have any inkling, I definitely recommend boot up your PS4, download the demo, at least give that a shot, And if that hooks you, great. If it doesn't, then it's just not your cup of
So
tea.
I'm at a point as a guy who's played pretty much every Final Fantasy at this point. Final Fantasy 7 through 9 haven't aged well. The remasters are good, but they still feel very slow. There's ways that you can speed through it, but often they take longer through the speed through it ways. So I'm excited for new gamers to get a take on this story and where it's going to go.
Did you guys see the Let's Play that Kinda Funny did for Final Fantasy VII Remake demo?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
So,
unfortunately,
for those who aren't familiar, they had one of their hosts, Andy Cortez, play
Ooh.
through the original game on the PS4 up to the same point that the demo ends, and then hopped immediately into the demo for Remake. And looking at 7, the way it plays now, I could not touch that game with a 10-foot
Yeah,
pole.
7.
It has not aged well at all.
So they fixed the sprites on it. It's just the gameplay's still very, very slow. And I don't think 7's the best of the trilogy on PS1. I actually think Final Fantasy 9's probably the best of them because I prefer that old fantasy setting. And that's my favorite one. But even going back and playing Final Fantasy 9, it doesn't play quick enough. I tried to go back and play it, and it just... You have some nostalgia for those old games, but if you didn't play it, it's really hard. And to finish off what we've been playing this week and talk a bit about nostalgia, I've been going to and playing Shadows of the Colossus as well. And I don't want to get into any spoilers because it's free on PS Plus this month, and I think we're going to talk about it maybe next month at some point, hopefully. But
I've never played it, and that's probably the next game I'm booting up.
Yeah, I bought it a couple months ago, like the physical copy, and so I'm really excited to actually like get to it. I think now this will be a good excuse to.
I'm 5 or 6 Colossi into the game, and it's just as beautiful and obviously updated, but it's just as beautiful as I remember. And all the you guys are familiar enough with the gameplay where you're just taking down the Colossi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar enough, but I want to I know nothing about the game other than you fight Colossi and you're on a horse. So
it's a completely empty world. You travel and you find the Colossi. There's no other enemies in it beyond the Colossi. And each Colossi is a separate puzzle in how you beat them. So it's really it's a action adventure, but it's really a puzzle game at its heart.
Each Colossi is both the puzzle and the dungeon.
Yes. That's the best way to put that. Yep. So I'm curious to hear people's feedback from a non-nostalgia point of view. But I'm loving it. So, all right. So we're going to wrap up what we've been playing, and we're going to get into the weekly news dump. And, well, nothing has really happened this week. We do have... Oh, wait, no. Something's happened.
Hours before recording this show, we got it was going to be... Call of Duty was going to be the big news of the week. Then this shit dropped.
Yes. So...
Yes, and AJ commented on my post about this on Facebook with 7 songs of nostalgia and death.
So let's get into it. E3 has been canceled. I'm going to read a statement from the...
has it?
Yes, it has.
Pour one out for the homie.
I'm going to read a statement from the ESA. After careful consultation with our member companies regarding the health and safety of everyone in our industry, our fans, our employees, our exhibitors, and our longtime E3 partners, we've made the difficult decision to cancel E3 2020, scheduled for June 9th to 11th in Los Angeles. Following increased and overwhelming concerns about the COVID-19 virus, we felt that this is the best way to proceed. During such an unprecedented global situation, we are very disappointed that we are unable to hold the event for our fans and supporters, but we know it's the right decision based on the information we have today. Our team will be reaching out directly to exhibitors and attendees with information about providing full refunds. We are also exploring options with our members to coordinate an online experience to showcase industry announcements and news in June 2020. Updates will be shared on e3expo.com. We thank everyone who shared their views on reimagining E3 this year, and we look forward to bringing you E3 2021 as reimagined event that brings fans, media, and the industry together in a showcase that celebrates the global video game industry. So that's what's come from the ESA. I'm just going to put this out before we start discussing. E3 is never going to be the same again.
It's dead.
It's dead.
It's officially dead now.
I mean, we've talked in the past about maybe they rebrand as a consumer-focused show, and that might bring back some of the exhibitors, or maybe they license the brand to somebody else. But I think, depending on what publishers and developers do in June in terms of this online presence that E3 is offering, if they realize that they can just deliver direct to consumers the way that Nintendo's been doing for years at this point, they don't need to spend the money on the real estate at a physical location to be able to get that same information to the folks that need it.
Yeah, and it looks like that's already happening. I mean, like, if you look on Twitter, Phil Spencer tweeted about how important E3 was. I'm going to read the tweet because I actually have it.
Yeah, no problem. Go for it.
E3 has always been an important moment for Team Xbox. Given this decision, this year we'll celebrate the next generation of gaming with the Xbox community and all those who love to play via Xbox digital event. Details on timing and more in the coming weeks. So it looks like Xbox is going to be adopting this digital presentation format.
I mean, they've already been doing it a bit with the Inside Xbox, right? And Sony's been doing the same with their State of Play. So it's inevitable this is going to be the case. And I know we're talking specifically about the cancellation of E3 and how it impacts the industry directly. But honestly, to take a step back, to look at all of the, there's been a number of conferences that are either getting canceled, postponed, or moved to an online presence. A big one here in Toronto, the Collision conference, was canceled for this year, and they're moving to an online presence, which is a huge economic impact on the city. You look at a city like San Francisco, where they've declared a state of emergency, and Moscone, that has had, I think at this point, 11 or 12 conference cancellations in San Francisco. Yep. There are catering companies involved that have had to lay off a ton of staff. You look at organizers, you look at security companies, you look at all the other adjacent businesses that are impacted by this large consumer show shift for this year, and the number of industries that are being impacted by this virus. And it's just, it's awful to see this happening, and my heart goes out to anyone who's been or will be impacted by this virus in the coming weeks and months.
Can I share a bit of news that Jason Schreier's tweeted out?
You have to share this. I saw this as well, and my mind was goddamn blown.
WB was going to hold their first showcase to talk about the new Harry Potter movie and the new Harry Potter game and the new Rocksteady game.
Oh, the new Harry
and
Potter
the new
movie.
Batman game. They said there'd be a Batman game.
Is it finally going to happen?
So
after
this will still happen digitally online. There's no question.
Okay.
We don't know that for sure.
Oh,
we don't know
man.
what form it's going to take, but we know those things are coming, which is great.
That sucks, though,
When
that we're
is
not
the
going to get the hype of like the actual press conference itself. That was one of the things that I was really disappointed with Xbox, is that this was Xbox's moment. This year was going to be Xbox's moment to really be the front runner of next generation, because Sony's
They were going to have the week to themselves,
Yes,
essentially.
Sony, Nintendo, none of them were going to be at E3. This was Xbox's moment. For as much as we thought that last year, it was going to be this year.
So Nintendo does their digital direct, but they always have a presence on the show floor, whereas Microsoft is actually separate from E3 itself. They do everything at the Microsoft Theater.
Oh, okay.
So not to say Nintendo doesn't participate in E3. They always have a direct and always have a pretty significant floor presence with whatever their big game for the year is. And for this year, we don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah,
It could be
that's true.
friggin' Metroid Prime 4 for all we know. We don't know at this point anything really substantial after Animal Crossing. So this E3 could have also been huge for Nintendo to come out and be like, we have all these games we sort of announced, and they're coming this year. Like, imagine if we got an E3 where Metroid Prime 4 was nearing completion, the Breath of the Wild sequel was ready to show. You have the Trials of Mana remake. You have Bayonetta 3, maybe. Like, they could have had a really significant presence there, and it's a shame to see that all of that's going to be digital now, which is how we all consume that content, but not the industry the way they consume that content.
There's a lot of focus that everybody puts on the announcements of E3, right? And like, yeah, that is like the major part of E3 and why E3 happens. So these big companies can make these announcements so the rest of us know what's coming next. But for me, like, E3 just kind of as the week happened, it was always kind of a momentous occasion for me. Like, I would gather around as a kid, get my friends together. We'd gather around the TV and watch G4, watch all the press conferences together, and have those moments together where we just all get hyped up together. And even still,
even the last couple of years, that's been like a huge thing. Like, I love watching like the watch-alongs, like with Kind of Funny when they watch it on Twitch, and just like getting to celebrate those huge moments of hype with other people is always such a fantastic thing that I feel like we're
biggest,
going to miss out
the biggest piece of content that came out of E3 for me in recent years was
Giant
actually
Bomb?
from Giant Bomb's
Yeah.
couch at after like E3 is quote unquote over. Like every night they would have a different, like, multiple groups of guests on the couch, just talking with Jeff Gersman at Giant Bomb usually. And just everybody, like, you'd have all these different people from different areas in the industry interacting with each other, and it was always like absolute marvel to see how that sort of stuff got handled. And like E3 has always been more than game announcements for me. It's always been about watching these people like get together. And
It's feeling like you belong to a community that's getting together to celebrate the thing that you care about. At least for me, it's one of the things I care about most is this community, this culture, this industry. And I agree that the Giant Bomb After Dark content has been some of the best produced around E3 because it's genuine, right? It's to the cuff. It's people just talking, and it's great. And I'm really going to miss that. And I think that's the big thing that we're going to lose out on from E3. It's like the conferences, the get hype moments, whatever. That's all fun, but it is the industry grows organically within itself by having these events where people can interact and network and grow as an individual, as a professional. You look at someone like Blessing Adeoye Jr. joining Kind of Funny, and this would have been his first year attending these sort of events, GDC, E3, whatever.
like cursed Adeoye Jr., right? I think he made the joke first, so it's okay.
Regardless, so it is a chance for these people to sort of network and grow themselves within the industry. Friend of the show, Steve Saylor, actually had a really, really thoughtful Twitter thread today talking about some of the things I did about how this has a larger reaching impact than just those involved directly with the industry, and how, as someone who's trying to break into the industry, he's going to miss out on a lot of these networking opportunities and things of that nature. And it's really hard to see for me at least, a more local impact to it for something that is a larger thing than I can even
But
fathom.
I don't think those are going to go away completely, because there's more and more fan events now. If you look at the PAXs that are out there and the different events, even look how we met at EGLX, which is a smaller event, a smaller amount. But those opportunities are out there for people. It's just going to be different and how those opportunities are approached. And the truth is, E3 may not be the best time for those because everybody's running their butts off trying to get from appointment to appointment versus networking. There's a little bit of networking at night, but we've heard the stories about how they work till like 3 a.m. as they're trying to close stores.
I think losing GDC was a bigger impact to that side of the industry than E3, since E3 has sort of shifted to being more consumer focused than it is industry focused. But I don't feel like we can sort of say that didn't happen at E3. It was still a major component of it. I feel personally, but I don't know anything. I'm just a guy on the internet talking about games and stuff.
So, and I think GDC will be back. I think E3 is going to be a bigger situation. They think they're coming back next year. I could see it being an online only system next year potentially, or a shadow of what it was, because once people, and as you brought up, learn that they don't have to pay the copious amounts of money that they have to pay to be in there and probably get the same ROI back on it, they're going to go that route.
It pains to say it, but that's probably the route that a lot of things are going to move. And it's unfortunate, again, for the local businesses that will be impacted by this shift to an online culture. Even just, outside of video games, there are a number of businesses that I'm aware of, and people at my office have even been talking about, okay, so when is the ball going to drop, and when are we going to be working remotely indefinitely?
Yeah.
Microsoft's done it, Amazon's done it, Apple,
Google.
Facebook, Google, thank you. And I feel like it's only a matter of time, and this is going to have significant ramifications to the transportation industry, and there's just so much of an impact as we move away from an in-person culture to a more digital experience. I don't know if you guys saw, but Discord tweeted out that they're increasing the cap on video chat from 10 users to 50.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's going to be more of a demand on their service for people to interact face to face through this digital shift. And I'm glad it's happening, but I'm also apprehensive of how quickly it's happening in a response to COVID-19, that I don't feel like the like Western culture is equipped to handle such a massive shift so quickly. So it's gonna take a while to see what the impact is truly gonna be, and it's crazy. World is crazy right now, guys.
I was thinking
Cats
about
hugging
this.
dogs.
I was thinking about this earlier today, but my job is mostly visiting stores. I work with about 70 stores across Southwest Ontario, and I think the hat's going to drop soon. They're going to tell me to stop visiting stores and just be like somebody to take phone calls while this virus situation is being sorted out until that gets cleared up. But for all the people who are going to be told to work from home, I think companies are going to realize they don't need to spend the overhead on offices when they can have people work from home and probably get the same amount of work done and output. So I'm curious this might actually be a good thing for the future with people being able to work more from home and be less chained to an office.
Have either of you had the chance to like go to or be close to E3 when it was happening?
No.
No, unfortunately.
So, Alex, go ahead.
What?
Cozy, I think you meant. Remember,
Sorry.
we have 3 Alexes, and you're
That's
one
right.
of them.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah. So in 2013, the year these current consoles came out, my game developer friend got me access to the EA press conference because he was working at a EA company at the time, and it was absolutely amazing being there, like being in the crowd with like all of the heroes I grew up watching, like people like Adam Sessler from X-Play. I know the Giant Bomb guys were like sitting like 5 rows behind me. You see Peter Moore walk in at the time. He was the CEO at the time, I believe. He just walks down the aisle shaking everybody's hand in the aisle and addressing everybody in the room. I'm so glad I had that opportunity. I didn't get to go to the show floor, but to be in that space with everybody, it's something I'm absolutely gonna miss seeing, and I feel real sad that a lot of upcomers and new people into video games aren't going to have that same opportunity.
So I guess we're going to end this segment on a somber note. It'll be curious to see what the future of E3 is going to look like. And we're going to talk about the past of E3 soon. But before we get to the past of E3, I want to quickly talk about deals that we've got going on this week. Mitch, you were able to dig up a few, so I'm going to let you go over those.
Yeah, we need to have an upper to complement our downer.
Yeah, really. And I know we're taking your feedback. We're working on the format of the show. This week there was one major piece of news, and that's why we focused on that. And with deals, we're not going through a list of stuff anymore. These are 3 games I'm really passionate about, and if you're interested in them at all, go and pick them up because they're on sale right now for big discount. Both of the South Park games, Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole. I had to make sure that space was in there. Cozy's mom might be listening. They're both on sale in Canada. Well, you never know. They're both on sale in Canada for under $20. And on the Switch, that is. And Moonlighter, a game I've really enjoyed, is also on sale in Canada for $12.60. And any of those will give you hours upon hours of great content. So if you're at all interested in them, they're on sale through probably Tuesday.
Okay.
After this podcast posts, and definitely go check those out if you're at all interested.
I haven't played Moonlighter yet, and it's something Greg Miller's talked about. It seems like it could be up my alley, so I'm curious about that. But I can say the South Park: The Stick of Truth is the funniest game I've ever played.
Have you played the sequel?
I've platinumed the sequel as well. I think Stick
understandable.
How does it compare to the original? Because I've only played the original, and I'm thinking about maybe picking up the sequel.
So the sequel goes into more of an action RPG, not an action RPG.
It's not the same style of game.
No.
It's not a turn-based RPG. It's like a grid-based.
Yeah, it's like a it's the Final
RPG.
Fantasy Tactics, and I normally don't like those, but because of the South Park in it, I stayed with it. Humor's a little bit different, not quite as funny, not quite as off the wall, but I really did like the superhero theme to it. And I don't want to get too much into it, but Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman definitely.
Morgan Freeman.
Steals the show.
All right.
Yeah,
then.
I mean, at this price, it's hard to pass up on either of these games. So whether it's now or in the future when they go on sale, definitely think about checking them out.
And if you have to, just play the Stick of Truth, just for that one level, that boss fight scene where you have to make a very unfortunate dodge.
No spoilers.
A very unfortunate dodge. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
yeah, and
I know that one.
it is cheaper than, like, it is the cheaper of the two, being a little older, at least right now on the Switch. But I'm sure you can pick it up on any console at a decent discount, and they're all three of these games. I know Moonlighter is a little different than the South Park games, but all three are just wonderful experiences. Definitely worth the money at full price, and even more so when at discount.
All right. So thank you, Bitch, for those deals. Now let's go into the topic of the show. All right, so this week, we kind of changed our topic of the show. The plan was for another thing, and with E3 being canceled this year, we revised everything a little bit. And we want to talk about the best or infamous E3 moments that we can remember. So, and we're going to put a list together of, what is it, the top 10, right?
I think we're going to do top 5. We did top
Top five.
5 the first time we did Player's Choice.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Not
think-
in any specific order, but we took everyone's suggestions and then sort of narrowed it down as we went.
Okay, so this is going to be more collaborative instead of our normal 5x5, and we're just going to be putting the best or infamous moments out there and seeing what are the big moments that you should maybe go back and watch on YouTube. What are those things that you should remember? We talked about our memories and what we've seen and what it made us feel. So what are those moments, and let's bring them out. And we're just going to go round table here. There's no competition aspect to this, so I'm going to start with Mitch. Mitch, give me what you got.
Okay, do we want to go old school or a more modern E3 moment?
Whatever you feel you want to put down there.
All right. So I think the biggest one for me personally, with the way that I've consumed the content of the video gaming industry, is E3 2016.
Okay.
And the moment is the entire Sony press
The Year of
conference.
Dreams.
Sony whipped it out at that show.
Yeah, they
Like
definitely
they
did.
laid it on the table and it was girthy. That was the year that they showed off The Last Guardian, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Detroit Become Human, all games we'd
No,
seen.
No, that's not
Final
it.
Fantasy VII.
Spider-Man.
And no, hold on. So those were all games we knew about going into that show. Then they had 4 huge reveals. Days Gone. They brought out Kojima
Yeah, this
after
is-
everything that happened at Konami.
This was
to
right
present
after
Death
the Game
Stranding,
Awards as well.
Marvel Spider-Man, and God of War. Like, I've got goosebumps right. I don't know if you guys can see that. Like, I've got literal goosebumps remembering back to this conference, and that moment was just like, oh my fucking God. I'm so sorry, Cozy.
Yeah,
Like,
and they
I-
had the
like,
live orchestra as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh my
they
God,
just
it was
put
just-
on the most absolute show, and they had
literal goosebumps right
They
there.
had Bear McCree be the conductor of it as well. Like it was amazing.
So I was in a crowded theater because that's when PlayStation was doing the PlayStation experiences in Toronto. So I went to the Scotiabank Theater and got to watch
I
it.
wish I'd gone to that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I
Holy
did it
shit.
twice, and it was an amazing event just to be in attendance. And when you saw Kratos' face in that trailer, the crowd just erupted. And I believe that was the one where they had Resident Evil 7 too, right?
No, I think Resident Evil 7
No,
was
that
the
was-
following year.
Yeah, it was. the
Oh,
following
no,
year.
you're right. I was at that one as well.
Because RE7 released in January of 20.
No, you guys are right.
The year before RE2 remake,
Yeah.
right? So it would have been
No,
E3
it was
2017.
E3 2016. I'm looking at the announcement trailer. E3.
Was it actually?
Yeah,
Holy
announcement
shit.
trailer E3 2016.
Yeah.
But did that trailer debut at Sony show? I feel like we knew about that before the conference. Or am I totally
it's on
misremembering?
it's on the PlayStation YouTube channel. So
Okay.
I would assume so because they did show Resident Evil 2 at the E3 press conference before, so it wouldn't be completely out of left field.
Because that's the one where the kitchen demo and then it turned into 7. Like they had the
Yeah.
numbers
Yeah.
for 7 in the word kitchen.
Yeah, no one knew what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, no, I'm sorry to have to come out with like the greatest E3 moment of all time, but for me, that was it.
Okay.
That was the, oh God, I'm cemented in this industry. They're doing all the things I love. Marvel Spider-Man is probably my favorite game of all time. And I'm very, very happy with the way that Sony did that. Like, everything was perfect. Like, that was the single best conference I've ever seen out of an E3.
Okay. Cozy, I'm moving on to you. What do you got?
Fine. I feel like it's been the Nathan and Mitch power hour for the past hour.
Sorry.
I'm looking at the different things that I noted down here for what I think are the most significant E3 moments. I'm going to do another Sony one. And, this one is probably not going to rank as highly in the collaborative list we're going to be putting together at the end here. But I'm going to say it's when Gabe Newell took the stage at Sony's press conference in E3 2010 to announce that Portal 2 was going to be coming to the PlayStation 3. So, to give a bit of context, Portal, the original Portal, had arrived on the PlayStation 3 via the orange box, but it arrived on the console under somewhat terse circumstances. Because Newell, somewhat infamously, lambasted the cell processor, basically stating that it was a waste of everyone's time and that it was going to give no long-term benefits to anyone involved.
He wasn't wrong.
I was going to say, he was pretty on the nose when it came to that.
And in fact, it was because of his distaste for the cell processor that so the orange box was ported over to the Xbox 360 by Valve, but the PlayStation 3 port was actually handled by EA.
I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that stemmed directly from their issues with the cell. And so for Gabe Newell to come on stage at Sony's E3 press conference in 2010 and basically, he didn't apologize for his comments or be like, I love the cell processor. But for him to kind of be like, hey, we've had our differences, and right here, I'm here to announce that this excellent game has come to your console, it was a really big, huge deal. And it's great that the game that he presented came out in a relatively timely manner and was really, really excellent.
That was on my list for sure, too. That moment was just, oh my God, it blew me away knowing that this great I'd played Portal from the orange box. And knowing that, seeing Sony, this, I was still pretty nascent in the industry and following it and everything. Seeing Portal and Sony on the same stage, I'm like, okay, I got to go to Sony for everything about this game because I love both those games.
Yeah, one of the most amazing things about that whole collaboration at the time was just the fact that it was one of the original, well, in my mind, it was one of the original cross-play games because you could actually play, if someone had the PlayStation 3 version of Portal 2, they could play it with somebody who was playing it on Steam, and I actually did that with one of my friends at school who did have the PlayStation 3 where I had it on Steam. And so that was just like a really cool experience that I feel like we're only now just getting again.
Yeah, it was again, it's hard to top the Sony E3 2016 press conference as a whole, but nonetheless, I think this stands out as a very cool E3 moment.
Nice. All right, I can't argue with that, although the argument is going to come later in the list as we decide the top 5. But let's flip over to AJ next. AJ, what do you got?
Well, I spoke about Peter Moore earlier, and when he was walking down the aisle, he walked up on stage and sort of addressed the crowd, and just he sort of reminded everybody, like he just looked around the crowd and was just like, some of you veterans here in the audience might remember a few years ago when the last time I stood up on this stage, which is when he was working at Xbox, and he just so happened to roll up his sleeve to reveal what on our old CRT TVs looked like a tattoo of the Halo 2 logo and the launch date of Halo 2, November 9th, 2004. Moments like that in my head. So like he kind of did that twice because he did something he had it painted on for the GTA 4 logo, but little human moments like that where it's like some weird stuck up CEO guy comes out on stage. Peter Moore's great, and just sort of like lets loose a little bit and does something nobody really expected, and it looked like he had a tattoo of the Halo 2 logo and the release date on his arm. That for me is a moment that really stood out as one of my favorites for sure.
Okay, that's really incredible. I didn't even know that story.
Yeah, Peter Moore is crazy when it comes to doing stuff like that.
And good for him. He left the gaming industry to go be the CEO of Liverpool.
I think
The
the
Liverpool
CEO
FC
of Liverpool, the city.
The football club, I think.
Oh yeah.
Let me verify that because I'm an idiot when it comes to European soccer. Peter Moore.
They should have CEOs of cities, though.
They should have CEOs of
I
cities.
think
well, isn't
yeah,
that
they
what
should
they're called?
retire
They're called mayors.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying they should retire mayors and institute CEOs in their place.
Yes,
I'm
he
into
is
it.
he is the CEO of Liverpool Football Club, a childhood dream as he grew up in Liverpool, England.
All right. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Living his best life. Unlike Tom Hanks, who we just found out has been diagnosed with COVID-19. So,
Okay.
yay.
God damn.
Hey, we're not supposed to bring things from the Discord thread into here.
I'm sorry. When Nathan sent that
That
to me,
stuff
I
is
had
strictly
to.
off limits.
Yeah, I
I'm
had
sorry.
to check
I,
Twitter.
I had to confirm that, and that's just it blows my mind. Sorry. Back to best E3
Okay.
moments.
So, Alex, what do you have?
Yeah, back to happy thoughts. So
please.
my one of the biggest moments for me was when it was when Bethesda decided to have an E3 conference again in 2015, and it was the reveal of Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter.
That was on my list.
I think despite whatever you might think of Fallout 4 itself, which, you know, I personally think it was fine. It wasn't as impactful as Skyrim to me or even Fallout 3, but still quite an enjoyable game. But the show that they put on, the show when Todd Howard came out on stage, that guy has such a presence when he is on stage at E3. He knows how to talk to the audience. He knows how to hype stuff up. Even Fallout 76, he somehow still managed to get me even just a little bit hyped for before reality struck in and I actually realized what the game was going to be like. That guy has just a way of talking on stage and just he's got this amazing energy about him, and I think he showed that excellently when he unveiled Fallout Shelter, which then showed of it being available the night of the press conference, which was incredible.
Not for Android
And,
users.
I mean, you know, who cares about them?
I was gonna say that's a you problem, not a Bethesda
Took months
problem.
for it to
Yeah,
come
like,
out on Android.
Yeah,
I
mean,
had it the night of, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, me too. I had such
Go-
It got
go
me
iPhone bros.
Hell yeah! It got me so excited for Fallout 4, and then also just the setting a precedent of let's unveil the game months before it comes out, and not just years. I think that was something that made that conference very special, and then also just made Bethesda a mainstay press conference.
I think that's
holder.
Right.
That
That was their first press conference, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a great way to kind of set things off. I think that if they had not had as strong of a first time like that, I don't know that they would have continued to do that year after year.
I know, going back to something we talked about earlier, if E3 2020 had happened and WB had their stage show that included the 3 announcements we talked about, we would be talking about that show on the same level as the first Bethesda conference. And it's,
Are you
again,
sure?
a shame. You don't think that
Batman, Harry
Warner
Potter.
Brothers coming out with Batman, Harry Potter, and whatever Rocksteady's been doing for a decade?
I'm
years.
joking
Holy shit
around.
moment.
I'm joking around. I'm sure it would have been great. I was just saying, don't count your chickens before they hatch into chocolate eggs or whatever.
Yeah, the biggest thing I always take about that press conference, and I actually really like Fallout 4. I'm close to the platinum. I need to go back and actually just finish the last quest line to get it, and I just haven't been encouraged to. But was always the talk about why don't more games release like Fallout 4 did? Make the announcement a few months beforehand and then come out with full gusto. Because that was always something big, and that's always something we still hear in the industry at this point.
Yeah, and Fallout 4 was hugely successful too that year.
It was, yeah. I feel like we're seeing more of that now, though, right? Because we got the announcement that Resident Evil 3 Remake was coming about 6 months before
Yep.
the game.
They also did that with
There-
Resident Evil 2 as well.
They did, but I feel like there's another game that I'm forgetting coming out
Ghost
this
of
year that was
Tsushima.
announced.
Oh no, never mind.
No, Ghost of Tsushima has been talked
Never
about
mind.
for years
I'm
at this
dumb.
point.
My bad.
But there was something else, and I can't for the life of me remember, and someone's going to lambaste me for not remembering it.
I mean, I think there are multiple reasons why it happens, but I mean, certainly part of the reason why it happens that so often games are shown off way far in advance is because people like us constantly like, oh man, I know Metroid Prime 4 is 7 years out, but can we at least have one new screenshot?
Yeah,
And
really.
like,
All we have at this
"Alright,
point is a
fine."
logo and a studio.
Well, and
Fine, here's a new screenshot. Here you go. It's out in 8 years.
look what happened with Spider-Man and the puddles.
Oh yeah, that's right.
God.
I didn't care at all
I
about
know.
that. That shouldn't matter to
And
people.
it shouldn't, but it still does. And if you look at Watch Dogs and how quickly, how early Watch Dogs was shown.
So I don't want this one on the list, but the one that stands out to me was, I think it was Killzone 3 when they showed
it's
that on
Killzone
the-
2.
It's Killzone 2.
Killzone 2. So when they showed Killzone 2 off for the first time, it was just a CG cinematic, and none of that made it into the final game, and it did not look nearly that good. So I do agree that sometimes you know, better to hold off until you have something to show. And I feel like if we had we're still going to get the announcements, but if we'd gotten the holy shit moment at E3 of that Warner Brothers conference of whatever it is Rocksteady's been doing, we would have all collectively blown our minds.
All right.
It also sucks that. Sorry, I have one final point. It does suck that Bethesda has kind of gone back on that as well. Like even Bethesda Game Studios, with last year them announcing Starfield and
Elder
or not,
Scrolls.
was it last year?
The year before, they didn't say anything about it last year.
Yeah, last year. I mean, they also did it last year with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo as well. So,
Which who knows when we're going to see either of
I think
those.
the problem is that they feel they need to have a show every year now because they've done one, and I would be okay if they just drop the show when they don't have enough and then bring it back when they have the announcements to have at that point. So
I feel like it's justifiable. I mean, we're kind of getting away from the main topic, but it's justifiable to do that and take a step away, because I'd rather you not give anything or just small digital only updates on the games you've already announced than, you know, come with what is a lackluster showing.
but it also might be just like they need to have that placeholder because if they lose their spot, they might not be able to get it back. as
Also
well.
fair, but then you go the Nintendo route and just release it online for hype moments. Like we still have, like I have hype moments on my list that have come from Nintendo Directs. They haven't come specifically. Actually, do I? I don't think I actually do. Oh no, I have at least one.
I feel like I know
So
which
it's
one
not
it
like
is,
we're
too.
not going to get those moments without having a stage show. And I think this E3 is going to be indicative of that. We're still going to get those moments without the stage presence.
Okay, I'm going to jump in and put one of my favorite moments. And we talked about the 2016 Sony conference. And we're probably going to talk about one or two other Sony press conferences because they've had a banner of a generation this year. But I'm going to talk about $399 US, where they punched Microsoft in the face. There's no other description. That whole press conference, Microsoft had gone earlier in the day. They announced the Xbox One. They talked about their digital sharing plans and doubled down on information that people weren't happy with to begin with. The price was a
Don
little
Matrick.
high. It had the Kinect included in the box with it that you had to have. It was always going to be on and had to be on for the Xbox to work. And PlayStation,
The DRM,
Yeah, the
whole situation.
DRM, PlayStation comes in, and we got Jack.
Are we doing that in the same
Jack
point?
Trenton.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
And he announces
Yeah.
$399 US, and it just blows the world away. They're $100 cheaper than Xbox, and they put some amazing games on the list. And it was just like the knockout punch, and really set this generation up for Sony. And we'll throw in, because I think you're thinking of the same thing I'm thinking, Mitch.
I would honestly throw it in as a separate
Okay,
point.
well, we can do that. So we'll leave that. But what are you guys feeling on that press conference?
I mean, what I remember about that press conference is, like, by and large, I thought it was perfectly fine. A lot of the games discussed at that conference were games that had already been unveiled earlier on in the year. It was really just a case where they had, like, by and large, it was a perfectly fine conference that had one or two really knockout moments, and that's kind of all it needed to really kind of succeed and be well remembered. And I feel like if it didn't have those one or two knockout moments, we'd kind of all just, not that we would dislike it or anything, but I think we'd all be like, yeah, that was a perfectly fine, forgettable conference.
Yeah, I can't remember if there was another conference before that where you could directly, like, you could see the fact that they updated what they were doing probably the day of just to throw shade at the other company. Like, we haven't seen that kind of infighting or competition at an E3 stage prior to that. So seeing them come out and just having the two mic drop moments of here's the price and here's our game sharing strategy, that's enough for it to be remembered as a very, fond E3
Well, and I
memory.
think, as Cozy was saying, part of it is, maybe it is a little mundane, but I think part of the big thing is the meltdown that Microsoft had hours beforehand. and how bad that conference went for them.
Oh my god.
Also, the
Was that a-
fallout of that too, right? Like they had to renege on a bunch
Like-
of the stuff that they announced in that show, be directly related to what Sony announced, right?
I don't want to get into a big fight here, but was the conference that Microsoft had at that E3 really that bad?
It wasn't as bad in comparison to when they actually revealed the console, but just
Yeah.
but just everyone was so down on the Xbox One right from its reveal that like there was no real positive aspects of it like in comparison to Sony's.
I was driving to my dad's place from LA. Well, my dad was driving, and I, using my mobile phone at the time, pre-ordered a PS4 and not an Xbox One because of that press conference.
Well,
I
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, like, the last thing I'll say on this discussion is because I do distinctly remember at that Microsoft press conference them showing off Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. And I remember thinking, like, wow, this is, kind of on the same level as, say, when it was announced that Final Fantasy 13 was going multi-platform. This once series that was famously tied to just Sony's platform is now, going multi-platform, and it's showing up really prominently on one of its competitors' platforms. And like I feel like if it were not for kind of all the extraneous circumstances surrounding the console's competing prices and features or lack thereof, like this would honestly be remembered as a really memorable press conference, but just the circumstances surrounding all of it had drastically changed.
So I know we said we weren't going to talk about this, but this literally broke now.
No.
I'm sorry, it gets worse.
Yeah, it's fine.
The NBA has suspended their season due to COVID-19. They're taking a break to figure out what their next steps are. Like, we picked a bad night to record this when it comes to COVID-19 news. Like, holy crap.
This all just ties into what's going on with E3 and why this is so unprecedented and the decision that's been made here.
All right, let's go back to
yeah,
being
so
happy.
let's
I'm
get-
sorry.
let's-
I had to interject with
Okay,
that one. I'm
no
sorry.
more COVID-19 news. Mitch, you better stop. I'm going to have to give you an HR violation if you do this once more time. Do you understand, Mitch? Okay,
Understood.
I've got
So
verbal
the problem is
confirmation
that
there.
now I'm thinking up in my head, what's like a totally fake COVID-19 story I can put in the chat on Discord to get everybody to jump
all
on?
toilet paper is contaminated with COVID-19.
The COVID-19 is already inside the house.
It's on the phone.
So back to E3 and not COVID-19.
So, Mitch, it's your turn. Give me one.
Okay. Do we want to go with a fun one or a mic drop moment?
We've done a bunch of
mean,
fun. Let's see a mic
you
drop.
had.
You want mic drop?
I felt
okay.
like you already had a bunch of mic drops, especially your
my
whole-
first
your
one
first
was a
one,
mic.
yeah.
My first one was, but I've got both. I feel like we've had some of the fun no, let's go with a fun one.
Okay.
So, for me, one of the most memorable E3 moments was the demo for Wii Music at E3 2008.
Oh, wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, was that bad? Getting
Yeah.
Miyamoto on stage playing with the Wii mote, and oh my God, that was bad. The guy doing the air drums, he's been memed out of existence at this point. Like, oh man, that was cringy.
Yep.
Wow.
But we're never gonna forget it.
Yeah.
No.
Back when Nintendo still had press conferences.
Oh, that was...
And maybe that's why they don't.
Honestly,
It wasn't
yeah,
that early they went
probably.
into Direct, but there were some other bad things that had happened during some press conferences for them, which I'm sure may come up.
Yeah,
I've
wasn't
got
there like
a
the
couple, but they're
Zelda?
good ones.
Wasn't there like the Zelda music concert that kind of went a little iffy at one point?
Yeah.
I remember specifically there was a demo for Breath of the Wild when it was still a Wii U exclusive, where the demo just didn't work when they were on stage.
Yeah,
That was
wasn't there one?
Skyward
Yeah,
Sword.
Skyward
Oh, was that Skyward
Skyward
Sword?
And they were
Oh,
telling,
sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, they were telling people to turn off their cell phones because it was interfering with the Wiimotes.
Yeah.
No, with the Wii Motion Plus. Don't forget, the Wii Motion Plus was a thing.
Oh,
Or
right.
the Wii Vitality Sensor. We all remember that getting
That
announced,
never
right?
came out.
No, it did not. Yeah, Nintendo
gonna
had
put
some
that on my
weird
ding dong.
moments. They had some weird E3 moments, but I think the Wii Music demo at E3 2008 absolutely takes the case for the weirdest Nintendo E3 moment and one of the most memorable.
So no, definitely a weird one, and that's why I like this list, because we're not just getting the big mic drops, but some of the weirder stuff. Cozy, what do you got for us?
So here's the thing. The one I wanted to bring up next is not really a weird one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Whatever floats
Okay,
your boat.
so
Give me what you got.
All right, you previously brought up how at E3 2013, Sony wowed the world when they announced that their PlayStation 4 console was going to be debuting at $399 instead of $499 like its primary competitor. However, if we rewind the clock and go back to 1995, you will find that Sony made a very similar move at that year's E3, and at a price point that was $100 lesser. The context was Sega was in the process of launching the Saturn. Stakes were high. There was, in time, the Saturn would prove to have a lot of difficulties, and Sega kind of wanted to help build up momentum for the Saturn by basically surprise launching it that same week. And one of the things that needs to be noted right here is that the Saturn had a price point of $399. And so after their press conference came and went, Sony Entertainment America's then president, Steve Race, took the stage to discuss the price of the upcoming PlayStation 1. And he went up to the podium and he delivered a speech that consisted of one word, $299. And then he walked off, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, this is I should mention, if you're listening to this at home and you're like, oh wow, holy shit, that's pretty badass, you should check out Blake Harris's book Console Wars, because this story is detailed, and also like all these circumstances leading up to it are detailed quite extensively in that book, and it is quite a wild ride.
It's been on my Amazon wish list for years, and I really do need to just bite the bullet, pick it up, and read through it, because it just sounds like there's so many... I've got a full list of video game related books, and I've got some you guys could borrow that just tell such interesting stories.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, it's happened so long ago at this point that I can totally see why, this kind of announcement is not as flashy as some of the things that have happened in more recent memory, but it is still a watershed moment, and I don't think that it should be forgotten.
Okay, no, that's awesome. That's a really good moment. I, for some reason, think that we might still hear about another price for a different console that might come up from Sony. AJ, what do you have?
I feel like you're narrowing it down at this point. They've only got
Yeah.
2 left.
Well, I'm not gonna choose that one and take it away from one of you Sony fanboys. But what I will do is go.
Year of
all the way-
Dreams, motherfucker.
I will go back to 2004 once again, and I'm just going to mention the entirety of the Nintendo press conference that year. I believe that is the one where first of all, Reggie was announced as the North American president, and he had a really, really good quote when he walked out on stage.
We all know it.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names, and we're about making games.
I was thinking another Reggie quote from that year, but I'm sure you're getting...
Yeah, my body is ready. That may have been that may have been a different year.
You sure? Because I thought...
Yeah.
Okay, I might have done some poor research then. Sorry,
Yeah,
continue.
well, I'm not sure. Yes, that is like the big memeable one, but he walked out on stage and sort of that's what he said. But then at the end of the conference, specifically, that year, Twilight Princess was, it wasn't named Twilight Princess at the time. It was going to be the next Zelda. That's all we knew about it, and it was going to be realistic looking instead of the Wind Waker cell shaded cartoon style, and that's all we knew about it. But we didn't, they effectively ended their press conference. But Reggie comes out and he's like, "Wait, we have one more thing here," and he brings out, like the lights go down.
Of gravitas when he enters the stage.
Oh my god. This moment still gets me all worked up and like gives me chills if I go back and rewatch it. But they played the trailer for this unknown game, this one more thing at the end of the press conference that nobody knew was coming, and they surprised everybody with this realistic looking Legend of Zelda, and then as soon after it plays, the crowd goes wild. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then Miyamoto comes out on stage, wielding the Master Sword and Link's Hylian shield and everything, and they announce that it is in development and it's real, it's coming, it's happening. Fewer moments in E3 were that hyped, in my opinion.
Was that before they had announced at the time the Nintendo Revolution?
Yes, I believe it was before that.
Became the Wii.
So at that point, it was still just a GameCube game, and then Nintendo Revolution did eventually become the Wii, like Nathan said.
Correct.
So at that point, it was sort of in a similar vein to Breath of the Wild, where we knew it for one console and it ended up on both, and was arguably more popular on the newer console than the older. We know notoriously that copies of Twilight Princess for the GameCube are really hard to come by. They're incredibly rare, and I believe it also released later than the Wii version, if I remember correctly. It released a couple of weeks later or something.
Yeah, I believe so. But also keep in mind that the Wii version, because the majority of people are right-handed, they mirrored the entirety of the game.
Yeah, because traditionally Link has been a left-handed sword wielder. So the GameCube version still has it in his left hand, but every game that's come since, I believe, I'd have to check for Breath of the Wild, but at least the ones that involved motion controls, Link was right-handed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Wow.
I think I knew that he was left-handed, that they had done something to, but I hadn't thought about it that way. It didn't make
the.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. The entirety of the world was mirrored, is what they did.
Interesting.
Not just, they didn't just switch hands. The entire world was backwards.
That's interesting.
I also want to correct my foot in mouth moment from earlier. My Body is Ready was from the following E3, so E3 2017, 2007, not 2006. So my bad.
I'm talking about 2004.
Oh, I'm way off then. Sorry, I'm tired too. We're all tired.
So
COVID-19 is doing things.
It didn't come up.
It's a weird week. The world's on fire, and we're talking video games.
Just quickly, just yes or no answer. With Reggie joining the board of directors for GameStop, can he turn GameStop around?
No.
He can do anything.
His body is ready.
He is the Reginator.
I love how we had two completely different responses at once.
I think if he's in a situation where if things turn around and they become a niche business or whatever you want it to be, a hobbyist store, then everyone's going to say, oh, look, Reggie and the board did a great job. If it still tanks, it's like, well, they tried their best. So he's in a situation where no matter what happens, he still comes out looking good.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter.
All right.
Board of directors typically have a very hands-off role anyway, so it's whatever.
Okay. Alex.
Before we move on
go
to
ahead.
the next
Yep.
one, sorry, I just want to say quickly on the subject of Nintendo's E3 2004 press conference, there's a great Kotaku article that was published in 2019 called How Reggie Fils-Aimé Became a Nintendo Legend, and it basically details the sort of like context of what was going on within Nintendo and the games industry going into this press conference. Highly recommended if this press conference holds a place in your heart as well, and you want to understand it better.
Okay. No, that's probably
Cool.
a good read. Alex.
100%.
Okay, so my next one is going to be is E3 2019. This is the most recent one. During the Microsoft press conference, which overall was kind of a unremarkable press conference in a lot of aspects. Like, I feel like that was it was the first year that Sony decided not to go, and like, you know, it was Microsoft's year to really take control and set themselves up for next generation, which I don't really feel like they did all that well. I think they could have done so much more to make it better. But they did have one amazing moment. Some may call it breathtaking even. And when Keanu Reeves was on stage during Cyberpunk 2077's trailer. Well, when they first showed him in the game, and then he came out on stage, and he literally had heaven lights behind him. He was glowing, and he then announced the date, which then got delayed. But, you know, it was still an amazing moment. Like,
He was still there.
Yeah.
That was a holy shit moment for that conference for sure.
Yeah, I think that whole moment and just unveiling that he was in the game, that he's going to be Johnny Silverhand, was so cool. Like, he is one of those, like, he is one of the faces of Cyberpunk by being in the Matrix, I think, and just the fact that he's going to be in Cyberpunk 2077 makes me even more hyped for the game, and I would say that it was a very breathtaking moment.
So, Alex, I have one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the Sonic movie together.
Yes.
Correct? There was a trailer that played before that movie,
Yes.
which revealed another Keanu Reeves role.
Yes.
So, what do you think was the bigger hype moment? Keanu Reeves being revealed in Cyberpunk 2077, or Keanu Reeves being revealed for the latest SpongeBob SquarePants movie?
Oh, I mean, it's Cyberpunk all the way, because for one, this was like Keanu's always been kind of a meme. He always has been, but this is like I feel like what elevated him into, oh my god, he is fully ascended into memehood of, like, Keanu Reeves he's higher than life, and I feel like it was that moment on E3 that really did it for him.
Yeah, he's definitely a transmedia character at this point, where it doesn't matter where he shows up, it's going to be an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Cyberpunk one is the one that best crosses over into our realm, so I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
I just wanted to shoot the shit about, a
Yeah.
trailer before the SpongeBob or the Sonic movie.
I also just feel like the SpongeBob one is kind of like, it's like following the Cyberpunk announcement. I don't know how long after that decision was made and why that decision was made to have him specifically, but I feel like the Cyberpunk one was the bigger, like, oh shit, this is incredible moment.
Yeah, I said that more as a joke, but
Fair
whatever.
enough.
I guess my jokes just don't
All right.
land. Whatever. Who cares?
I'm going to throw one in now, and we're at 2 picks, so we're going to do one more lightning round to get some quick ones in here. But there's one that I couldn't not talk about because it involves my favorite spokesperson for a company ever. I'm talking about E3 2010 when Kevin Butler showed up on the stage.
Oh,
yeah.
Kevin Butler
And
was
his
great.
epic rant about just the players, and it was just so perfect, and everything he's done from the commercials, I would love to see them bring him back for PS5.
They kind of burned that bridge, didn't they? Sony had a falling out with the actor.
Yeah, he appeared in
Goodyear
like
tire commercial.
some completely Goodyear commercial,
I think it was,
but he
Bridgestone.
played the
Bridgestone,
Wii.
sorry.
It doesn't matter.
He played some completely different industry, and it just so happened he was holding like a Wii remote or something in his hand, and because they're competition, he was let go.
I could see
I
them bringing him back down the line, though. Like, we've seen crazier things. CM Punk's back in the WWE, sort of. So, like, you can get over things like this.
We've had Keanu Reeves show up on the Xbox stage. We've had the Beatles show up on the Xbox stage, which was one of mine still. And oh god, Cozy,
What?
no, you're putting random crap into the Discord now. It's unless there's a link, I'm not believing you. So yeah, I mean, crazier things have happened, so it could happen again. But I feel like that's such a niche. Like that, if you weren't in the Sony ecosystem, that moment was awesome. But for me, it's not a definitive E3 moment because it's not really. I don't know. It's memorable enough, but not to the point of some of the other.
I
ones
go
on this
back to
list.
that marketing campaign, and I just remember Kevin Butler with those commercials became synonymous with Sony. The $2.99 commercials
for sure.
when they were going around. The one where the guy was like, he just answered people's questions, and the one where my girlfriend thinks Uncharted is a movie, or Uncharted 2 is a movie.
For the longest time, I thought he was actually the CEO. Like, he was that believable.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. Don't get me
Absolutely.
wrong, but I think there's just moments on this list that definitely outrank that one.
So, I wanted to get it in there because I thought it was important, but
For sure.
It's just one of my favorites, and I think that's just a good one to go back and check out if you haven't seen it. It's just worth maybe watching every single Kevin Butler commercial because they are all excellent, but then watch that press conference to top it off. Or that moment from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move into lightning round, and we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to reverse the order. Alex, you're up first.
Damn it!
Oh god. The Nintendo Direct of 2018 where they unveiled every single character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
God damn it!
Oh,
You stole
that's
mine.
Great.
That was incredible, and it was all official when they showed Snake, and then everyone is here was the moment that really solidified it and was just like the ultimate get hype moment.
For me, I think it was Pichu. because we weren't expecting it, and then Pichu shows up. It's like, oh no, they're bringing everybody back.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's a good one. AJ.
So the one that sticks out to me as a lightning opportunity, like lightning in a bottle, they caught it finally. Xbox, Phil Spencer trying to turn things around in 2015. You can see the moment where the ship starts to correct itself and they start trying to play like catch up with the big boys again, and that's where they announced backwards compatibility, and they set the precedent for everything going forward from that moment.
All right, backwards compatibility. It's on the list. Cozy, what do you got?
Ubisoft's unveiling of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle at E3 2017, I want to say.
Why did you have to put me last? These are all of mine.
Yeah. In a nutshell, just a very good reveal, a very kind of conscientious reveal in that leading into E3, everybody already knew that this thing existed because a million leaks had confirmed its existence. And in general, I feel like everybody was really down on it. They didn't believe that it would captivate them. And I feel like Ubisoft did a very good job at both showcasing why the game was going to be a lot of fun and also, bringing on Miyamoto and having a very, very well-timed shot of Davide, the game's creative director, to help drum up hype for it.
Yeah, him tearing up at that conference was really, really cool.
It warmed my heart.
Yeah.
And it set the stage for what they did the following year, bringing Star Fox to Battle for Atlas, right?
Yeah, which was really cool as well. But I feel like this press conference, in both press conferences, Miyamoto was spotlighted. But I feel like this was the one where him being spotlighted was really essential to selling the idea that this is a legitimate game and not just a rinky-dink spinoff.
Yeah, like it sort of set the precedence that Nintendo could do those collaborations across platforms, which led to the Star Fox announcement. But yeah, the Miyamoto coming out was the oh my god.
Okay, Mitch.
Okay, well, since everyone steals all of mine, I have two. I know
Ridge Racer.
You're close. Giant Enemy Crab. Giant Enemy Crab has
What
to be on the
year was
list.
2006.
2006. Yeah. The other one, which was briefly mentioned as part of yours, I believe, Nathan, was the sharing games on PS4. So the infamous video of Adam Boyes and Shu Yoshida sharing games that directly jabbed at Microsoft that year, which was 2014.
13.
And then the 2013?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was
sorry,
the year they
my
launched.
bad. Yeah, it was the year before. And then the final one that I have is the reveal of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Fuck you.
That was sorry, Nathan. I couldn't get them stolen this time. So in 2015, when they revealed that game was coming, and we all expected it to be 15 years away, it turns out it was 5 for the first part. But that was like everyone had been asking for that for years because, like we talked earlier, the original doesn't quite hold up. And now we're sort of seeing the fruits of that, and that a bunch of us are excited for a game that we've never played before as a remake. And it just, that moment where that music dropped and everyone just like, at that point, yeah, it was such a cool moment.
So you kind of stole mine, but you didn't steal it enough. So I'm just going to have to go all in and talk about the Sony Year of Dreams, because not only that press conference did we get Final Fantasy VII, we got The Last Guardian coming back out after going radio silent for years, re-announcement, and we had the Shenmue 3 announcement. And
the Kickstarter,
the
right?
Kickstarter for it. And the biggest takeaway for me, and don't get me wrong, Shenmue 3 is not a great game. If you haven't played the originals, even the originals don't hold up, was the reaction culture to it. Going back and watching people's reactions to those 3 announcements. Things they thought they'd never see. Like maybe we'd see The Last Guardian, but they'd gone radio silent on The Last Guardian. With Final Fantasy VII, we had seen that one tech demo they'd done for PS3, and that's it. So when you saw him walking through Midgar and going through, and then you saw Cloud Sword, you knew exactly what that was. And then the feathers falling from the screen as they had the feathers falling down, and the music from Shenmue kick in. Like that, just all 3 of those announcements were blockbusters. And I still remember, I think it was, what was Easy Allies before it was Easy Allies? Game trailers. There's, if you ever want to see somebody freak out, like, don't be wrong, Tim on Kinda Funny lost it, but the game trailers guys freaked out. One of them specifically, and they were all over the room with each one of those announcements.
Yeah, that was an awesome conference.
And we talked about giant enemy crabs. I believe that's also because you captured a few where we saw the price tag $5.99 and how Sony could pull up Microsoft. Yeah. So
that worked out well for them.
They
right?
learned. I think the bonus was they learned some lessons, and I assume it's AJ typing here Ridge Racer.
Yeah, AJ brought that up earlier too.
So I think we've got a good list here, guys. Now the important thing is that we need to take it down to 5. So
what are the top 5?
What are the top 5? We're not going to order them. They're not going to be ranked, but what are the top 5 things? If we could tell somebody to go back and watch these moments, what are the top 5 things they need to see on YouTube after this?
I've given it some thought. I'm willing to take off Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle and Portal 2. I think both of those are great E3 moments, but I think that ultimately they kind of pale in comparison to some of the other choices. I will only fight for the $299 thing that I submitted earlier.
Okay. All right. I'm with that. I'm going to bold the entire list and then unbold, or somebody's doing some editing here.
I just copied it down and I figured you'd.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't ignore me. It's fine.
So let's bold $299 for now. I feel like there might be other stuff that beats it out. I know Cozy's going to fight tooth and nail for it, but for now, let's bold that one for sure. I would you could drop everything I said, but the Year of Dreams press conference from Sony in 2016 has to stay on the list.
I'm 100% backing.
It looks like there's 2 Year of Dreams here: the 2015 and the 2016.
2016 was God of War, Spider-Man,
Death Stranding,
and Kojima coming out after the whole Konami thing. That has to be.
Yeah, honestly, Kojima just going, "I'm back," and then descending.
That was a moment of its own.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that needs to be there.
Days Gone was the other new game reveal that year.
Oh,
okay,
yes.
so I'm fine with that. I think the 2015. It's funny because we had 2 Year of Dreams in a row. Sony really set a precedent in 2015 and then hit it in 2016, and then they got quiet a bit because they didn't have as much to talk about after that.
Let's hope 2020 brings it back, baby.
Oh wait,
we'll see what happens, but I'm okay not having 2015. And we talked about Kevin Butler not being that same touchstone. I still implore you, please go watch his segments in his commercials because they are probably some of the best video game marketing that's ever been done. So, I think Fallout 4 is important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it really set a precedent of what a good E3 press conference is and how to unveil a game.
I agree 100%. Let's bold it. I think we're going to end up with more than 5, and we'll have to narrow it down from there. But for sure, that makes this first cut for sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and say the entire Nintendo 2004 press conference with Reggie being introduced and then the Twilight Princess reveal at the end. That in itself was probably that set the real precedent, and then in my opinion, I don't know if you've ever watched it, Alex.
Oh yeah, I've at least seen Reggie's introduction, and I've seen Miyamoto come out with the shield and the sword.
Yeah, that sort of set up what became the juggernaut of the Wii when they came to the conferences they had in the years following, right? That system wouldn't have been the same, and the presentation and the direction of the company wouldn't have been the same without
Reggie
the groundwork of Reggie being there and Twilight Princess being what it was.
I will say it is a bit of a weird contrast in that press conference showed off a very mature looking Zelda game that was like, oh my god, is Link gonna spill blood in this new Zelda game? And the Nintendo that followed that press conference was, by comparison, a much more kind of sanitized and family friendly Nintendo. Yeah, so I mean it's an incredible press conference, but I don't know that I would necessarily say that it set a standard, or that
Let's leave it for now. I feel like it might get bumped off the list.
It could. I will fight hard for $399 as well as that's the E3 where we had the official PlayStation used game instruction video. I think it's historic just based on how much Microsoft dropped the ball and how much Sony just went ahead and changed it and really developed a conference that just smacked them in the face.
So I feel like there's a lot of Sony that we're bolding at this point, and I would say that the Microsoft backwards compatibility announcement is bigger than a couple of these Sony ones. Like, they really like fighting from behind and coming out with so many consumer-friendly decisions.
They
A lot
turned
of
the
that
ship around,
started
for sure.
with backwards compatibility. I'm not even a Microsoft guy, and I can appreciate
bold that.
Yeah.
what they did there. So I think it has to be bold
Yep.
for now.
They're absolutely setting the precedent for the competition to do the same.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. They're setting an industry precedent. Like, everyone else has to follow what they're doing at this point. Otherwise, they're being left out of the game. Similar to if you look at like Call of Duty fighting for crossplay, with that large of a franchise doing it, everyone's going to have to do it. It's set that
So
precedent.
let's look at some of the ones which we haven't talked about yet. Giant Enemy Crab's Ridge Racer. Does it make the cut?
It's super memorable.
It's iconic.
If you if you like to watch a good train wreck or cringe real hard, it absolutely is.
Like, that was the year of cringe,
It's
for sure.
It's memed itself so hard too. Like, of all the things that we've talked about, this is an everlasting meme that will be there with Kazurai.
But I think when it comes to memes, I honestly think the Keanu moment is a better meme. And I think also...
Is it, though?
I think so. I mean, here's the thing. As I would say, it also is just a really good moment in E3, and it shows like how to use a celebrity presence properly. Because even in the same year, Ubisoft brought John Bernthal out for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and no one gave a shit. So I think it was a really good moment that like showed how to use a celebrity cameo.
But
properly.
was that more about the memification of Keanu? Like, I don't know if we're going to be talking about the Keanu moment in 12 years or 14 years.
I think the
14 years
Keanu
later,
meme-
whereas we're talking about Giant Enemy Crab, which
I
scares
almost-
me 14 years later.
I almost feel like the Keanu moment is a meme outside of
Yeah,
E3.
I agree with that.
It could have happened at any point. It
Okay.
just so happened to be it happened at E3.
And
Okay.
I mean, we have been seeing that in pop culture with the SpongeBob movie, with Always Be My Maybe on Netflix, with him playing himself.
Oh, that was
That's a
so
good
as
good.
someone. It was fun. It wasn't a good movie. It was a fine.
I think it's
movie,
actually a
but
good
yeah,
movie.
Like it's a good movie. It's not a great movie. Like, either way, like, he has transcended pop culture in a way that he is a meme of himself,
Okay.
and I think this was more of that. So it's a memorable E3 moment, but it's not uniquely E3.
Okay.
right, fair
What
enough.
about They Are All Here with the Nintendo Smash Brothers for Ultimate?
I mean, it was a great moment, but like, I just feel like there's really stiff competition here, and I feel
Yeah.
like if you're not a Nintendo fan, it's not as easy to kind of care about this stuff. You can be a non-Sony fan and think that the Giant Enemy Crab and Ridge Racer stuff is hilarious, whereas if you're not a Nintendo fan, it's hard to get hyped about Pichu coming back to Smash.
So that same argument, though, I could see being used against the $299 US and the Reggie introduction press conference, where as a gamer, yes, these are things that, you know, are memorable to us, but it didn't transcend the way, like you said, that Giant Enemy Crab did.
And in that regard, I don't know if Fallout Shelter necessarily transcended. So I think these all have to stay bold if we're going to keep one of them. For that reason, anyway.
Okay, so let's say out of Fallout 4, Sony, $299 US, and they're all here, which one of those three do we think has to stay? If you have to choose between those three.
I think Fallout. I genuinely think Fallout.
I think
should stay.
$299.
Nathan.
Oh, they're both good.
Just Cozy's $299 US
Yeah,
for
what was
sure.
his idea? Well, actually, wait. Let's
Exactly.
confirm that Cozy would prefer $299 over Fallout 4. Okay.
Yes.
I thought that would be the case. I just want to put that out there because that might have made my life easier. I love them both, and I think the Fallout 4 thing has really helped the industry, but it hasn't changed it enough. $299 US.
Well, no, sorry, between the
Oh.
three. So Fallout 4, $299, and
Oh.
Smash.
Oh, then I'd put Fallout 4 definitely above Smash.
Yeah, I'd put it above Smash.
Would anyone put Smash above those two,
No.
other than me? Okay, that's fine then. Smash can drop.
Okay. And then Wii Music.
That was another cringe
Yeah.
moment, but
That
I don't
was
know if it's
very memeable.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it has the same level
Again,
of cringe that Ed Giant Enemy Crab and Ridge Racer. If we're gonna have one cringe one with Sony Year of Cringe or Year of Nightmares, I'd prefer to have that one on.
I just so the argument that I'll also make of Giant Enemy Crab over Wii Music stuff is that I feel like Wii Music it was cringeworthy, but I feel like Nintendo fans were kind of expecting this kind of cringiness at that point. What with the direction that the Wii was going, the Giant Enemy Crab Ridge Racer stuff I feel is like such a non sequitur from Sony's prior press conferences, which is why it stood out so much more.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Okay, so of this list of 5, I want to make sure that we're being fair here. We need to drop a Sony thing.
There are 7, so we actually have to
Okay,
drop 2
well, I want to
things.
drop at least one of the Sony things.
I would say what's better, $3.99 or $2.99? Because they're both very similar.
Which had the biggest impact
like-
on the generation?
The used game instructional video as its
So-
own separate.
I would
thing
disagree.
From $3.99 US.
I genuinely would disagree with that. I think $2.99 is more impactful to the generation because $2.99 killed the Dreamcast.
Well,
Where the Xbox
it was
One's-
competing against the Saturn, actually.
Or the Saturn, that's what I meant. Where I think the Xbox One, struggled and definitely lost against the PS4, but I mean, Microsoft is still a competitor. The Xbox One still did sell well. Like, they're still in the game where Sega is no longer making consoles.
I mean, I feel like this is, like, honestly such a generational thing. Like, I can see an equal argument being made for either one of these two announcements, and I think it ultimately just comes down to what generation were you around with alongside Sony. You know, which one occurred in your lifetime, which one, you know, really struck you at that point in time. Because they're more or less equal.
It's hard for me to put $2.99 US into context when that announcement was made when I was 3.
That's true. Yeah, I wasn't even alive.
I understand the impact, but like you said, the $3.99 US is closer to me. From an industry impact perspective, though, I'm willing to concede that $2.99 US is more impactful.
I mean, to be honest, I'm willing to go with $3.99 actually, and I know I'm actually
okay.
betraying my own thing, but just solely because $3.99 was something that happened in my lifetime.
Now, do we want to pair that with the used game video, or have those be like do we want to focus on one
No,
over the
we've
other?
talked about
think
them.
those should be
I
paired.
think put them together. They're the same press conference. And friend of show Adam Boys would probably agree with us to put them in together. So,
All right. Friend
Yeah.
of show that we've all met collectively once.
Yeah, I personally go with keeping the $3.99 one, not because it's necessarily the one I remember most recently, but because we're combining those, especially the instructional video. Everybody thought the industry was going one way, and Microsoft was just gonna be like, "Hey, yeah, we're going that way, industry," and then Sony was just like, "Oh, you're going that way? No, we're going the other way here. We're, you know." I didn't put it too articulately, but I think if you know the moment, you know what I'm talking about.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Well, the last thing I'll say on this, and I apologize that I've been vacillating back and forth a lot, but
No, it's
E3
okay.
E3 1995 was the first E3, and so it should be pointed out that beyond just being a watershed moment for Sony, this was a watershed moment for E3 in terms of defining, like, hey, this is not just a drab, boring, dry press conference. This is a press conference where, press conference, I mean more like event, show, whatever, where really major announcements can happen that can absolutely turn the tide of competitors, and these announcements can come in ways that are pretty brash and, in your face. And I don't think that should be discounted, but at the end of the day, we need to narrow this down to 5, so $3.99 it is.
Sorry, I also forgot one, and I need to make an honorable mention for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joining Bill Gates on stage to introduce the first Xbox. That was
Oh my
weird,
God.
and I loved it, but it doesn't make the list. But
Okay,
I had
that's
to mention
fair.
it.
Right.
Okay, so we gotta cut one more, guys. One more.
I think we can cut Fallout 4 and Fallout
Well,
Shelter.
Nathan, can you go through what is still in play, and we can maybe just vote on what we feel stays and what we
Okay,
feel goes?
so E3 2016 Year of Dreams, God of War, Death Stranding, Horizon. Then we've got E3 2015 Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter at the Bethesda press conference. E3 2013, the knockout punch of $399 in the official PlayStation used game instructional video. That's direct from their YouTube video.
I love that.
E3 2004, Nintendo press conference. Reggie's the new North American president in the Twilight Princess. E3 2015, Microsoft backwards compatibility. And then finally, E3 2006, Giant Enemy Crabs, Ridge Racer, and Sony Year of Cringe Mares.
I feel like it's between the two 2015 E3 items that we have here as to what needs to go.
I agree with that.
I think it
So
can,
for me, I think it's... Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Okay, I was going to say, I think it should be Fallout 4 or Fallout Shelter. And the main reason why I would say that is because, yes, that announcement and that part of the press conference was so solid and was super memorable. Can anyone remember what else was talked about during the 2015 Bethesda press conference?
Elder Scrolls.
Like, I feel like it... Yeah, it's like probably Elder Scrolls Online and maybe Doom.
Yeah.
Like, but who... Yeah, so it's like I feel like the Fallout moments were very impactful to how press conferences are held, like I feel like it didn't transcend the rest of the press conference itself.
So I'm going to throw something crazy out here. I think Bethesda has to stay just for the simple fact of it was game is released day of show, and that was huge.
Okay.
I can't remember, were there any instances of that before? Because I know Sony had entwined at some point the release day
Hell
and
yeah.
date, but I don't know what year that was, and it also doesn't matter as much as the Fallout IP. So I think that releasing day and date is honestly a bigger moment than the backwards compatibility announcement. And honestly, this is the one I think should come off the list, but that's just my opinion. I think both of these are better moments for the industry, or bigger E3 moments, than the Nintendo press conference from 2004.
So I haven't gone after the Nintendo press conference because I wanted to keep a Nintendo item on the list.
I did too, but for me, I feel like either the Smash moment or Wii Music are more memorable than that press conference for me personally.
You were also very young at that
So
point.
were you?
I was still watching these. Like I was still consuming them every year on G4. I was 12.
I was 14, and I remember
see,
it vividly.
It's 2 years. Like what my brain had developed to a reasonable point. But
Debatable.
Okay.
yeah, that's fair. I'll concede that, but like that for me personally, I feel like that's the one that falls off just because I feel like the other two are more impactful to the industry.
I don't know. Reggie was a very big impact to the entire industry.
Was he though?
Yes.
He was memeable and he came out for these press conferences, but outside of that, he's like, we don't know what he did behind closed doors at Nintendo, right? He was a staple of their shows for years, which is memorable in itself, but we're not talking about Jack Trenton's first appearance, or we're not talking about Peter Moore's first appearance, right?
I think arguably Reggie was more impactful for Nintendo than Jack Trenton was for...
I really love Jackie T, but I agree with Reggie being more impactful. That being said, I don't know if I'm still sold on that being like the must-have press conference for Nintendo there.
I mean, I know we're running long, so I'll concede, but I still feel like Wii Music or Smash make the list before that press conference specifically.
Okay. Well, seeing how those aren't in contention anyways,
Fair.
let's take off. Alex, you're fine with taking off Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter?
I think so.
I like to have the Bethesda moment on there. It's just so tough when you have 5 to pick. I think we probably have a little bit of Sony, but Sony's had some big E3s over the past few years. So I understand why those moments are in there. So just to finalize here, is everybody okay with this final list, or is it as okay as we're going to be?
Yeah, it's okay as we're going to be.
I think so.
I'm good with it.
I have my reservations, and I'm going to shut up now.
So what we've got is the E3 2016 Year of Dreams with God of War, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, and Kojima, not Death Stranding. E3...
We had Death Stranding. The game was introduced that year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
oh,
it
well,
was.
never mind. Then we
It
had
was.
Death Stranding too.
Yeah,
we
had
got
the,
every.
They
We got
had the first
everything that year.
trailer where Sam was on the beach.
Okay, you're right.
Or Norman Reedus, yeah.
The first of many. E3 2013, Sony $399 official PlayStation used game instructional video. E3 2004, Nintendo press conference where Reggie's introduced as the new North American president. Twilight Princess is shown. E3 2015 Microsoft backwards compatibility. Hopefully we'll see more of that with Sony over the next year once they get through all their big games coming out and they talk more about the PS5. And finally, the cringe-tastic one, E3 2006 Giant Enemy Crab Ridge Racer, Sony Year of Cringemares. That's our final list. We're running long, guys, so we're going to just get right into the social plugs. Mitch, what's your socials?
I actually have an update to one. So I changed my PSN again, like a weirdo, and it is now matching all of the other platforms. So I am Mr. Mitch George everywhere you can find me, and if I'm not there, it doesn't means that there's no reason to be on that platform.
Congratulations.
Have you tried going back and playing any PlayStation 3 games now that you made the change?
It's actually the second time I've made the change because I didn't like my original PSN, but we can talk about that on a later episode.
All right, cool.
All right. Then we're going to Cozy.
Yes, you can, of course, find me on Twitter at Alex Kazina, on Twitch at CozyBear Live, and you should know that on the yes, by the time that this posts, this will be this upcoming Thursday, on the 19th of March, I'm going to be debuting the second ever Kazina for Kinda Funny Direct on my Twitch channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there or be square.
All right. AJ.
Yeah, you can find me all over the internet at Times Hero, capital T, capital H.
All right. Alex.
And I am on Instagram, blatantly Alex, and on Twitter, it's blatantly_Alex.
All right, perfect. And you can find me on Twitter at @the_NMac and follow my reviews at ps4blog.net. I've got a lot of catching up to do for some work because I was away for work for the whole week. So I've got a bunch of games that I need to play. So everybody else, thanks for playing. Have a good week.
Bye,
Later.
everybody.
Have fun.